All right, good evening, everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. I'm calling the meeting to order. I'm using my teacher voice. So we do have translation available in Spanish. If you need that support, please see Magdalena Maciel. So tenemos traducción en español. Si necesita de este servicio, por favor pase con Magdalena Maciel. And if someone would like to speak to an item on the agenda, then you have to complete a speaker card and hand it to Eva Renteria prior to the start of the agenda item. And each speaker will have 2 minutes. I do see a lot of new faces here tonight, so I just want to establish some ground rules and that there may be differences of opinion, and sometimes there's strong differences. So please give everyone speaking the same respect that you would like to receive when you are speaking. This will allow everyone to be heard and the board to conduct its necessary business. So we'll move on to our Pledge of Allegiance, and I will ask Trustee Flores to lead us in the pledge.
Ready to allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and we'll move on to item 3.3, our interim superintendent comments.
Thank you, President Holm. Welcome, everybody. Nice to see a big crowd. I had the pleasure of meeting a student who's going to present tonight. I have two divergent issues. One is about a teacher by the name of Jim Belcher, who I know some of you knew and some of you maybe even had him as a PE teacher. He taught at EA Hall for over 30 years. Every time Mr. Belcher ran a track meet, EA Hall won. He was one of the finest teachers. He passed away a couple weeks ago. His family's still really laying low on it. He would run to school every day. Lived in Corralitos. On his 50th birthday, his wife Janice put a construction sign on the road that said, "Happy birthday." So Jim, I know you're looking at us and giving us your thoughts. He was just a great teacher representing the best of our district. Secondly, this is a time where we recognize our administrative leaders, and I want to recognize all the leadership that we are blessed with in this district. Yes, our administrators, our principals, our directors, and tonight is a night that we say thank you. We have great leadership in our teaching ranks at every school site. We have great leadership among our parents who come here and present and have issues. We have them in our school site council. We have them in our classified. We have them serving food, and I really appreciate we couldn't get by without the kind of leadership this district enjoys inside and outside the district. Thank you.
All right, so we will move on to the governing board comments, and I do want to mention that Trustee Soto and Vice President Acosta communicated that they would not be able to join us tonight, and so I just wanted to let people know. Ruby, would you like to say something?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to thank you all for being here today, and I hope everyone is having a good start to the official fall season. I'm currently working with my ethnic studies literature and studies class to create a sustainable garden in an effort to increase environmental awareness at Pajaro Valley High School. Thank you.
Trustee DeSerpa?
Thank you. I haven't had any meetings or committee meetings this month. One was canceled, and we're waiting for DLAC to occur in October. I just want to wish all of our graduating seniors the best of luck on their college admissions. I know this time of year it can be really stressful to put their college essays on top of their coursework, and I wish them all the best. I'm also rooting for all of our sports teams who are well into their football season and other sports, and thank you very much.
Trustee Scow?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everybody, and to everybody watching. Looking forward to a great meeting tonight. Thank you, Superintendent Checkman, for all your leadership and your comments about the leadership at all levels. I'm getting a lot of great feedback about your work throughout many of the campuses that I've been in touch with and the culture of positivity that you're bringing. I want to thank all my arts teachers, the VAPA community, for creating a very exciting, enriching experience. I know that we've heard about discussion about declining enrollment, and there's also studies about arts increasing enrollment. I believe that Watsonville Charter School for the Arts actually had its enrollment go up. So it turns out that it's popular to have the arts, and we should be offering that at all of our schools. So I want to thank Superintendent Scheckman and the administrative leadership for talking about Prop 28 with our principals and using these funds to augment our arts programs at all of our schools so we can have great arts programs across the board. So I want to thank the superintendent for his ongoing collaboration. There's been some hiccups in the past, but we're working through them collaboratively, so thank you. That's it.
Trustee Flores?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. I did have a Community Action Committee meeting yesterday. It was the first of the year, so it was really just an organizational meeting and letting everyone know what the expectations were. That was for that's ran through Heather Gorman, our SELPA director, and I encourage any parents who have children, who use special education to definitely look into these meetings. I also got to meet with Principal Fahey over at Landmark. I got to do a campus tour. There are some worries with some of the construction going on over there with the traffic, so I'm going to help in that situation. And also, I just wanted to also say how much I loved Coach Belcher. I ran with track and cross country with him for all the 3 years I was at EA Hall, as well as my uncles and my aunt who also attended EA Hall, and my dad.
So I also attended the Community Advisory Council, and I also went on site visits to Rio Del Mar Elementary and Renaissance High School. And a shout out to our M&O team, because folks at both sites really mentioned just what a difference they've seen and just how responsive the M&O team has been. And they were excited about what the sites looked like, and it's I just wanted to publicly acknowledge that. I want to use the remainder of my time I have another matter I want to address, and that's as trustees, it is incumbent upon us to model what we expect in our district, and it's especially important as board president, representing not just my own viewpoint, but that of the board and the district. And in that spirit, I want to apologize to 4 of my colleagues. I was taken aback at the last meeting when Vice President Acosta said they had been misquoted. But upon reflection, I realized she was right. I expressed surprise for supporting outside candidates for assistant superintendent. In that moment, given recent examples of our previous superintendent, making the connection between waiting and bringing in outside soups seemed like a logical connection. But it isn't what you all said. And we can have enough debate. We have enough that we can discuss without introducing straw man fallacies to the conversation. And if the situation were reversed, I would feel incredibly frustrated at being misrepresented. And last December, I promised that I would treat everyone fairly as board president. And this wasn't in line with that commitment. And so you have my sincere apology for the 2 of you who are here, and to the other 2, you have my apology as well. And my renewed commitment to fairness and integrity. And we can always do better, and I intend to do so. So thank you. All right. So we will move on to our high school students board representatives report. Oh. On 3.4? Okay. Sure, we have a
Chris Webb.
Wanted to take a moment to express my appreciation for multiple board members. So I'll start with Trustee DeSerpa. At one of the meetings recently, you had said you were cautious about us basically getting rid of existing programs by supplanting with grants, and I feel like that is a very wise thing to watch out for, and I would hope that everybody on this board does that, because I've become particularly sensitive to that since we had some changes at Renaissance, and we lost like an overall PBIS system, and part of it was like, well, you don't need it. We got these county guys, these probation officers. They were there for a year. They're gone. They've been gone for over a year now, and we don't have the same like positive support system we used to have. So I feel like that's a super important thing to be looking out for. So I want to thank you. Also, I thought Trustee Soto had a very reasonable and understandable take on the ethnic studies discussion, and I feel like if somebody is like under scrutiny, they should get a chance to come back and speak to this board and answer whatever questions you have for them. So that's what I liked when I heard people saying like, let's put this on hold, let's bring it back. I would think you should call in that main person that you was being scrutinized and like let them answer to you. Also, I want to appreciate Trustee Scow. Earlier in this, I forget which meeting it was, but you had said you were reflecting on the increased funding in the reserve, and then you had said like, well, what are we doing? Like, if this is education, what are we doing? And I hope you keep that attitude, because a lot of times when I see some of the changes where it's like, you know, maybe it increases some numbers, but like if it's not truly for education and well-being of students, then that is the question. What are we doing? So I want to thank you for that. And then Trustee Holm, I just hope you'll support a raise for the principal of Renaissance. Thank you.
All right, so now we go on to our high school students board representatives. So Diamond Tech, you're up first. Is it a video or a present?
Good evening, President Holm, Board of Trustees, and Interim Superintendent, Mr. Scheckman. My name is Orion Duran, and I'm a Diamond Tech senior and the current ASB president. We're excited to catch you up on everything we've been doing at DTI since school started. At the beginning of this school year, Diamond Tech was again recognized as a National Gold Medal recipient for college and career preparation. This is the 4th year we received this distinction and are honored to be named a gold medal school. Our school-wide theme this year is Together We Rise. With this theme in mind, we'll be working towards our success through teamwork and unity. Diamond Tech's character education themes are designed to support the overall school-wide theme through humor, being collaborative, encouraging, and reliable. Each quarter, the Student Council and staff identify students who are recognized for these characteristics. Diamond was able to offer our incoming 9th graders a leadership summit again this summer. The focus was on getting the new 9th graders ready through goal setting, team building, and preparation for success at Diamond. Here's a video that our students Chris Colazzo and Kenneth Avila made from Summit Experience, and will give you a little insight on what school's like at Diamond.
It's a couple that just got married, and as they find out there's someone living in the here, and they didn't know, because they just bought the house. Yeah, and this guy's just watching for some reason.
Okay, so this is Money Man in his Scorpion spaceship, and he stole the Triforce of Power from Ganondorf.
Okay, which? No, she asked for. My right or your right? Brandon, you go
for the city of Watsonville is Pat's Bowling and Arcade, and it's basically like a bowling ring with an arcade on the second floor.
Our day 1 and 2 sessions at the beginning of the school year focus on continuing team building, mindfulness, character education, and student success. We haven't had a lot of school activities since the beginning of school. We had a wonderful back-to-school night in August, and Diamond has launched the 10th and 9th grade mentorship program with The Future is Our Business. This is an extremely important and valuable program for our techies. I'm wondering if you caught the cameo of our former PVSD trustee, Leslie DeRose. Our beach volleyball team is doing quite well. We're working very hard at our championship title back. We'll always celebrate September 16th in style at Diamond. It was a fun spirit week with activities, games, and lots of school spirit. We'll be having our fall La Polka on Saturday, October 14th. This event gets bigger and better each year, and it's a great way to clear out your closets and garage. Vendor spaces are $20, and the senior class will be selling their delicious stuffed potatoes. If you don't want to sell anything, no problem. Come on by and enjoy the day. Thank you again for the opportunity to share what we've been doing at Diamond Tech. And if you would like to know more about what we're doing, please don't hesitate to stop at our website and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and come check it out.
Great. All right, so our next school is New School.
Good evening, esteemed Board of Trustees, Intern Superintendent Murray Sheckman, and audience. My name is Dawn Navarrete, and I am a senior and in my second year at New School.
On the clicker and it's not working.
Hello, my name is Alexa Santiago. This is my first year at New School. I came to New School because I was missing a lot of credits and I was falling behind. What I really like about New School is it provides students with the opportunity to rise and build joy, trust, and believe in themselves. We are so lucky to have a supportive staff that helps all students do their best.
Our New School staff starts off the year all smiles. They are a great support system and are always happy to see us every morning. Over the summer, New School got a much-needed facelift. I came back to a painted school, a rejuvenated mural, new flooring throughout, and a digital music lab.
We are so lucky to have many community partners who are willing to work alongside our students to provide enriching experiences.
Our new digital music lab has been very successful so far. Students such as ourselves get the opportunity to create our own music, and we are learning about the different genres of music through this program.
We had 8 students show up to volunteer for coastal watershed cleanup. We work with our community partners and extended learning to help the day go smoothly for everyone. Our teachers always help us to find volunteer opportunities. Volunteering at the fair is so much fun.
We also participate in the Monterey Bay Alternative Schools Athletic League, and we have so much fun playing other schools. It's a great opportunity to practice communication and social skills.
Our advisory classes are filled with many engaging programs such as community circles, Sown to Grow, and Why Try.
Our science classes have recently focused on a school-wide composting system in order to cut down on waste, create beautiful fertilizer for our gardens, and to save our planet.
Bite of Reality was so much fun. During this activity, we learned to balance budgets, what a credit score really means, and how to save for emergencies. This was a great hands-on way to learn about real-life money management.
And this is our peers engaging at all of the workshops. Once a week, we have sexual health education by Mariela Renteria, which has really helped us understand our body's relationship issues and keeping ourselves safe.
Our students of the month are Pablo Reyes and Dominic Ortega.
We are getting ready to launch our 11th year of outdoor school and character development. This is always a highlight for us students because we learn so much about the nature around us and how to care for our environment.
Thank you for having us here tonight. It was a pleasure to talk about our school. Do you have any questions?
That was a great presentation.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to item 4.1, approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda? Do I have a first? Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 502. Moving on to item 5.1, approval of the August 30th, 2023 board meeting minutes. Can I have a motion? Yeah.
A second.
Got a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 502. Approval of the September 13th, 2023 board meeting minutes. Can I have a motion? All right, I've got a motion. I've got a first.
Second.
A second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 502. Moving on to item 6.1, this is an opportunity for members of the public to address issues that are not on our agenda for this evening. And, just as a reminder that even though the Brown Act prohibits us from engaging in discussion on these items, that we are here and we are listening. So do we have any public comments?
We do, but before I call the first 3 names, I have a couple cards here that don't have an item on them. Rhea Hurt and Grayson. 6.1, okay. And Grayson, a student? 6.1, okay. Okay, I will call you up by 3s. I have Chris Webb, Bobby Pele, and Ryan Hall.
Okay, I want to thank you, Superintendent Checkman, for visiting Renaissance. I would invite you to come again, maybe 2 times. One to speak to teachers who have been there since pre-distance learning, and one to address the full staff. Another thing, I would ask you, since you've been in this district, and now that we're like at the mid-quarter, and we've had this switch now to credit, no credit versus variable credit. So at mid-quarter, some students would maybe see like a grade that might not be to get credit, and this is like when people start quitting. And this is like when we're going to start to see like where maybe that wasn't a good idea. And I would ask you, like, in my time at Renaissance, we have never failed anyone. So that's a comp high thing. I don't think that's the best look for your tenure. Like I would hope that let's maybe rethink that. It's still early in the year. We can bring this home. So that's my request. Another one would be some form of that PBIS system that works so well in your time and pre-distance learning. There's been serious due process and lack of representation issues for students. And one of the things I'm noticing about that, the absence of clear due process like that, it's that the inequities don't just go to the students, they go to the staff too. And it basically, alternative systems come up, and a lot of times they're like, they breed favoritism, and maybe not the best thing for our climate. Plus, I feel like something happened recently that I'm sure you know of, and I don't think it's a coincidence that occurred post-distance learning. There was another scare type incident like that last year. So within the last 6 months, we've had 2 of those type of incidents. I don't think it's a coincidence. And when I hear like, oh, well, at Watsonville High they have that, that brings me zero comfort or feelings of safety. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Bobby Pells, and I teach ethnic studies at Watsonville High School. I'm here tonight to share with you how disappointed I am by the recent decision not to renew the Community Responsive Education contract. While I understand there's been some concerns about the group, particularly regarding accusations of anti-Semitism, I'm not here to debate the validity of those claims. Instead, I want to express my concerns about the process and the speed at which this decision was made. It bothers me that this decision was made so quickly and without soliciting any feedback from me. Even though I've been with the PVUSD Ethnic Studies program almost since its inception, and I've worked closely with the CRE program for several years. It leaves me with the unsettling feeling that my professional opinion, my years of experience, and my genuine commitment to the well-being of our students have not been valued or considered in this decision-making process. I've dedicated my life to achieving social justice in the classroom, and I believe CRE has played an essential role in achieving this goal. You would know that if any of you had talked to me about this situation. I firmly believe that through open dialogue and collaboration, we could have addressed any concerns that you have, allowing for improvements to be made and for us to move forward with the CRE program in a way that makes everyone feel comfortable. I urge the school board to recognize the importance of collaboration and the input of those who work on the front lines of education, people like me. It's our collective responsibility to ensure the best possible educational experience for our students. Excluding my voice from this decision has left me feeling frustrated and unheard. I ask you now to reconsider the decision not to renew the CRE contract, and I invite you into my classroom to engage in constructive dialogue and find a way to address any concerns while preserving a program that has contributed positively to education and our students. Please trust that I'm committed to what is best for our kids, and I'm always open to working with the school board to achieve that goal. Thanks, everybody.
Greetings, board members. My name is Ryan Hall, and it's my 7th year teaching special education at Pajaro Middle School. I came today with hopeful ears waiting to hear about the plan to return to the Pajaro Middle campus. This year we have been welcomed graciously by the Lakeview staff and students, and I'm sure that all of our student outcomes are going to be better this year because of this stability. However, I can't stress enough how important it's going to be to push that we reopen Pajaro Middle campus next year. While we do have students that are succeeding, we also have many students showing disengaged behaviors. It feels a lot similar to when we returned from COVID. Students are dealing with this trauma, and it's showing up on our campus. Lakeview is really nice, but it's not our students' community. This year I only had one parent visit at back to school night, and this is due to the distance of the Lakeview campus from Pajaro and Las Lomas. Pajaro campus is an important part of the Pajaro community, so please keep this project moving so our families, staff, and students can return to Pajaro. Thank you.
Our next 3 are Lauren Halpers, Jenny Eim, and Judy Stable.
Good evening, trustees and Superintendent Scheckman. My name is Lauren Ross Holfers. I'm currently the art teacher at Calabasas and Landmark Elementaries. I'm rocking my student-created Calabasas Cougar shirt. I believe you've all received letters from our third graders. Today I'm here to speak for all of our students. Kids like little Nahi, who says that she wants to be an art teacher when she grows up. I speak for Merced, with her gentle voice and fierce heart, whose art commands attention. For Magali, who beamed with pride as she told me about walking her family through City Hall to share her work with them at our district's ongoing art show. For Marcos, Cameron, and Salvador, who hooted and hollered as if they won the World Cup when they figured out how to make the propeller made out of bits of recycling actually work. For Camila, who last year when we were painting a mural on our playground said, and I quote, "Painting is so relaxing. This is my favorite thing I've ever done." All of these students have something in common. None of them have art this year. And unfortunately, they have this in common with over half of the students at their school. The most frustrating thing is that they could have art class right now. Not rehiring empty positions and splitting art teachers between campuses was unnecessary. We're not at the bottom of the funding well. Before school began, it was entirely preventable. Then it was fixable with Prop 28 funds, which frankly undermines the intentions of California voters who voted to bolster art programs, not keep them barely afloat to free up funds for rainy day or other pet projects. But that's a whole other topic. At this point, not having art for all students is wrong. A few weeks is a long time to a child. I ask the board to do whatever is in your power to ensure those lost art teacher positions are hired back as soon as possible for our students, who are the reason we are all here.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, President Holm, and Superintendent Scheckman. My name is Jenny M., and I am the Director of Fiscal Services. I am here tonight to express heartfelt gratitude to our outgoing CBO, Clint Rucker, for his years of service to PBUSD. Clint has been a steady hand guiding this district through the turbulent times of COVID-19, wildfires, and the historic floods. As we can all imagine, the role of CBO is an immensely challenging one, and one that Clint has tackled with dedication and great expertise. In many ways, you can draw a parallel between the role of the CBO with Cassandra in Greek mythology. Cassandra was gifted with the ability to see into the future, but cursed with not being believed. Usually, the CBO is the lone voice at the table who is tasked with the difficult role of talking about the financial impacts 2, 3, 4, or more years down the road. The CBO doesn't do this because it is enjoyable, but they know that this is a burden that they must bear to ensure that the district can remain operationally sound, to ensure that layoffs do not happen, to ensure that students now and in the future can access high-quality education, and to ensure that the district can weather uncertain and trying times like the pandemic and the floods. Clint shouldered this responsibility with grace, understanding, and humility, and I have observed that he finds every opportunity to say yes, to try and come up with solutions or compromises. During my time working for the Santa Cruz COE and for the Sonoma COE, reviewing budgets and providing Assembly Bill 1200 oversight, I had the opportunity and the privilege to work with and review the work of close to 20 CBOs. I can say without hesitation that our CBO, Clint Rucker, is one of the most talented and knowledgeable CBOs that I have had the privilege of working with. I am sad that I will be losing Clint as a leader and a thought partner, but I know he will continue to be a force of good as he embarks on the next chapter of his life. Clint, PBSD owes you a debt of gratitude for your exceptional service. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Judy Stabile from Pajaro Valley Arts. We invite you to attend our Teen Artists Mural Ribbon Cutting Celebration on Friday, October 6th at 2:30 at Ramsey Park at the basketball courts. Our Teen Artist program helps high school students explore careers in the arts. The program was facilitated by Jaime Sanchez during the summer break. 11 students from Aptos, Pajaro, and Watsonville High Schools designed, obtained city approval, and painted a beautiful mural that showcases their hopes and dreams for Watsonville. We also invite you to visit Movable Murals, the Identity Project, at 250 Main Street in partnership with the City of Watsonville. PVA and PVUSD are showcasing 39 Watsonville and Aptos High students' works, that's hard to say, selected from 150 images that were selected. Art was created in English literature and ethnic studies classes that explored the theme of personal identity, history, and what lies beneath the surface of outside appearances. We thank the teachers, students, Rhea Hurt, and PVA staff and volunteers. Now, on behalf of Arts Now Pajaro Valley, I would like to thank Mr. Scheckman and the trustees for stepping in to try and preserve arts programming at the elementary level. We commend you for quickly responding to student and community needs. I continue to urge you to strive for equitable VAPA programming pre-K through 12. With the infusion of the Prop 28 funding, we have an unprecedented opportunity to expand and provide a new level of excellence. I urge you to support Ms. Monroe in the update to the revised VAPA plan, which will include a 5-year roadmap to equity for both visual and performing arts. We applaud her desire to develop a data-driven, standards-based plan that re-engages community partners and stakeholders and will allow all PVUSD students to shine. Thank you.
Our next day speakers are Marilyn Garrett, Bobby Marchesalt, and Terry Record.
The sound that tells your time is up is shattering. You could do better than that. It's really disorienting. My name is Marilyn Garrett. I'm a retired teacher from Pajaro Valley Schools, and we want education, not radiation from the Wi-Fi, and people need to educate before they vaccinate as well. The schools should be safe and healthy learning and working environments. If someone disagrees with that, could you raise your hand, please? Radiation is endangering the students from the Wi-Fi. There's an article here, Time to Remove Wi-Fi from Our Schools. President Holm, you said we can do better. You can do better. You could have wired Ethernet systems and not radiate the children. This is an article by Mary Atkins in Rhode Island. She's Rhode Island Regional Director of Citizens for Safe Technology. And the reason I have tremors, according to my health provider, is exposure to pesticides while teaching in Pajaro Valley schools, like at Amesty schools. And it's on the list high up for exposure to microwave radiation from Wi-Fi, etc. So part of this, and I'll give you copies, pulse-modulated microwave radiation like that emitted by Wi-Fi has been demonstrated through thousands of published peer-reviewed scientific studies to cause headaches, migraines, concentration difficulties, hyperactivity, sleep disorders, memory loss, erratic heart rate, asthma, immune dysfunction, chronic illness, blood sugar fluctuations. A long list. Do we want to subject our students to that?
Thank you, Marilyn.
I don't.
Good evening. Superintendent Scheckman, President Holm, Board of Trustees, hello. Good to see you all. Good to be here tonight. Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Bobby Marchesalt. I know many of you speaking for now as a parent. I've got 3 students, 2 at Watsonville High. And for tonight, just to add to the table of all the things coming forward, I briefly want to address the topic of SROs, one that's been an ongoing conversation over the years. As many of you know, I was part of the pilot oversight committee for our current program. And we're still having some of those conversations. The topic was addressed at the March 22nd board meeting about 6 months ago. And I'm hopeful that it's still on your radars. I just want to keep it there. At that meeting, you all said that you heard the concerns of many of the people who addressed the board, but saying you hear us is not necessarily the same as us feeling heard. It concerned me that nobody brought up any of the concerns that many of us brought up about the research that was done. Nobody asked about why the questions were what they were, and some of those concerns that would just allow for better conversation. I'm also curious as to why it wasn't addressed in that update, something I didn't know at the time, that Aptos High went for months with only an SRO and no mental health clinician, an important fact that many of us were unaware of, and a program that's designed for that partnership. I think that would have been important. So while I have other concerns and thoughts from that meeting and that conversation, for now I just want to encourage you to be asking that real actual research engagement's being done right now and conversations being had, so that there can be robust dialogue when we have it again, whether that's when the contracts come up or when we have a new superintendent, so that all that information is there to use and all parties can really be heard in a conversation that's important and creating the learning environments on our campuses. I'm also willing to sit down and learn from each other with any of you at any time. So thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Good evening. My name is Terry Record. I'm relatively new to Watsonville area, and my friend Marilyn has introduced a very interesting topic of electromagnetic radiation, otherwise known as Wi-Fi, cell phone, routers, actually Bluetooth in my hearing aids runs Wi-Fi through my brain. I can't sense that. Nobody else can. And for a long time, I was in disbelief about any electromagnetic radiation affecting us unless you walked in front of an active radar. But not too long ago, I started noticing a symptom in my mouth. I mentioned it to the dentist. She says, well, let's get rid of the dentures and replace them with something else. I thought it was the dentures. So I did double-blind testing and found out it was from the Wi-Fi, the hotspot, the computer printer, and that computer and my cell phone, all active in my living situation constantly. So I cut them all off, and in a very short time, the symptoms that I mistook for chemical or metallic reactivity were identified as electromagnetic radiation. We can't feel it unless you're really sensitive and attuned to what your body is constantly feeling. And it took quite an effort on my part to even notice what was happening. Thank you.
Our next three speakers are Millie Pinto, Maricela Vasquez, and Luis Fernandez.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Millie Pinto, and I have been employed in the SELPA department for 15 years. I got hired in May as a career development specialist from SELPA in a transitional program called Workability. Workability is a California transition program providing services to students with an active IEP, starting with 127 middle school students, 460 high school students, 6 post-secondary classes, and placing 69 PVUSD students in a work setting to develop comprehensive pre-employment skills with the paid training. There are only 2 employees that manage the program and provide direct transitional services to our PVUSD students. As of August 25th, it was brought to my attention by Heather Morin, who is my supervisor, that my new job as a career development specialist in the Workability program would end as of December. I tried explaining to Heather how valuable this transitional program is to our students, and that I have been connecting with parents and teachers to provide transitional services which are part of the grant guidelines. I was shut down with Well, I don't know how much more of your time you want to invest. The disheartening part of Heather's solution by eliminating the position would be leaving a disservice to students, parents, and teachers. I am the head of the household in my family, and her decision will be impacting my family's income. Her solution has also affected my teammate Ramona Young. SELPA's hiring process for the Workability Transitional Program was falsely advertised, disinforming, and the candidate myself. SELPA has not informed HR on this matter. I have my letter of assignment from Pam Shanks as a career development specialist for the 23-24 school year. The workability is short $10,000. There is an IDEA grant which is already earmarked for transitioning services. SELPA can also help and pitch in to keep the position for a warm body to assist our students, parents, and teachers in the preparation of the transitioning. Board members, thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is Maricela Vasquez. I have been with the district for 5 years in transportation as a driver. I recently applied for the dispatcher position on May 22, 2023. Unfortunately, I was demoted from that position on September 21, 2023, 4 days before my probation was over. I was demoted based on my evaluations and determined I was not a good fit for that position based on my absences. In that handout I just gave you, the first page is of the form that in the page is from the contract, Article 13, Evaluation Procedures, Paragraph B, Frequency of Formal Evaluations. Line number 1, probationary employees shall, meaning mandatory, be evaluated at the end of the 2nd, 4th, and 5th month of service. On the next page, you have my 3 evaluations. And the first evaluation, if you look at the top right side, there's a due date of that evaluation, which is May 23, 2023, but was given to me on July 28. You can see that date on the lower page. Next page is my second evaluation, which was supposed to be on July 20, 2023, and was given on July 28, 2023, which is not bad, but I was given 2 evaluations on the same day, and those evaluations are being used against me. The district broke the contract and did not give me the evaluation as stated in the contract. That didn't give me the proper time to adjust my deficiencies. As for my third and final evaluation, I did way better, and I was recommended to be granted permanent status by my supervisor. I have brought this to the district's attention, and I'm not getting anywhere. Now I present it to the board, hoping they will do the right thing and overturn this. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, board's members. My name is Luis Hernandez, and I have worked in the transportation department for 11 years. In all of my time, I have not seen any candidate doing the probation and getting a good final evaluation and not getting the position. Not only does she does a great job as a dispatcher, she also helps drivers out by driving herself. There's times when she does 2 or 3 routes and yet managed to get her job done as a dispatcher. If you turn to page 8 and 10, that is all the signatures of the department that disagrees with the district on this decision. 90% of the department acknowledge Mari as a perfect candidate for her position as a dispatcher. 90%. I know we all hear life isn't fair, but it's not the case. This is actually wrong. I can't believe the district would do this, not considering her last evaluation and her being recommended for the position and not giving it to her, mostly based on her absences. And if you must know, more than 60% of her absences provides period due to bereavements. Her mom passed away, and now we see the district using this against her. I do ask myself, what kind of employee does that? Apparently our school district does, and this decision falls on you. The board members, you are the ones on top and the only ones who can actually do something about this. Overturn the decision and grant her permanency. 90% of transportation department wants this. Thank you for your time.
Our next 3 speakers are Juan Rocha, Virginia Sanchez, and Johnny, I think, Martinez.
Good evening, board members. My name is Juan Rocha. I've been here in the Transportation Department for 4 years. One of the reasons I came for it is because the district had the Logan care. I came in because of the ability to be with my family. The district would provide certain hours, and it was comfortable for me to see vacation and spend time with my kids. I was really happy, I could say, with the district and with my work and my coworkers. Unfortunately, we do not had a director for several months. If she would have been there, I think we wouldn't be here. I had several conversations with her management, which got me really comfortable that they care. When you have a family member that take care for you, that give you birth, and like one of my coworkers just mentioned, Mari has got a promotion, really happy with the promotion. Unfortunately, she was dealing with a lot of issues with her mom, and I think it's unfair that we punish a great employee, someone that there's no one out there in the department that will not support, was 90% of them. I'm really ashamed that sometimes in paperwork, when you see it out there and you make a decision not based on the facts. Unfortunately, like I said, we didn't have a director that we really needed out there, someone to go for it, or that she could relate the issues that she had. I seen her struggling, being there, working because she needed to. If it was me, I would request time off, or but in her case, she needed the money to support her family. I also wanted to bring up a few points. I know we don't have a director yet, and I urge you guys to have a director as soon as possible. We need some guidance out there, and we need the support from everyone. Thank you.
Virginia? Virginia Sanchez? Oh.
Good evening, board. My name is Virginia Sanchez, and I've been with transportation for 15 years. And as you can see, we have a lot of bus drivers supporting the transportation department. My concern is regarding the first day of work. We were presented with some changes, and at that time, two of our supervisors, and Clint, you were there with, we're talking about the small buses and the situation about so to make a long story short, because I know I'm a short of time, nothing got done. So Tuesday, everything got changed. Everything was fixed. We were doing a great job, regardless of the shortage of drivers that we have. We're making it work as much as possible. There's shortage. There's only so much we can do. So going forward, I got a floor position because we were going to continue doing the same thing that was working before COVID. Is it after or before COVID? So anyway, first day of work, TO1 time, the union wasn't there. So we had questions. And then when we actually bid, I think he made calls because he didn't have direct answers for us. So we bidded on routes that at the end were left over because I got a floor position. So we ended up getting a route. And so on Tuesday, we ended up, Amona changed the routes completely. So now the routes that we had, they gave them to Michael's, and I think we're going to be rebid in October. So I was trying to implore Mark to see if they could keep it like that until the rebid is in October. Because why change it if it's fixed? Why change something if it's working? And I was wondering if they could at least consider that, so we have that opportunity, because it's affecting us if we demote ourselves.
That's 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time.
Good evening, board members. My name is Johnny, and I work for transportation. And I am here to talk also on behalf of Maricela's situation. So she got demoted from being a dispatcher, knowing that she is totally qualified for that job. Not only did the district broke contract and not give her evaluations at a proper time, and they're using those evaluations against her. Not only that, though, but the main reason she didn't get the job is due to her attendance. And if you look at the last pages, you'll have her printout of all her smart finds and all the bereavements that she took in there, which is more than half of her attendance during that probational period. So for me, it's really unfair, and it's actually unlawful to demote or retaliate against an employee due to their attendance and getting sick leave. It is really unlawful. So unfortunately, this decision was taken by the district, and it falls on you guys, on the board members, because you guys are on top. Anything that happens underneath you guys falls on you guys. So we do expect you guys to overturn this and do the right decision, grant her permanency. 90% of the department agrees with that. They see her busting that position. Not only that, though, she goes in early at 6 in the morning to drive. Her shift doesn't start till 11. She knows that there's a need and shortage in drivers, and she tackles on 2 to 3 routes. And yet you're demoting her because she's not fit for that position. So that is really unfair and unlawful. So we expect you guys to actually do the right thing, grant her that permanency, because if not, we might actually take this and go into an illegal matter, because that is against labor code. Thank you.
Our last 3 speakers on this item, we have Lucia Herrera, Grayson, and Ria Hurt.
Good evening, Superintendent and members of the board. I'm here once again advocating for the visual art program in our district. There are 3 positions for visual art teachers filled by substitutes, even though we have qualified candidates who haven't been hired. Why has this decision been made? What plans do you have for our visual art teachers? What plans do you have for us? What is going on with the funding from Proposition 28? The Proposition 28 is to be used for things such as hiring new teachers. Are you willing to lose that money? Are you going to let the funding go to waste? I do not understand what the plan is. I do not understand what is going on, and that worries me. Please reconsider what your plan is and do something about it. I really appreciate your time and disposition. Thanks again.
My name is Grayson Hurt, and I am a student at one of the schools in the district. And I'd like to address a certain issue that I'm definitely not the only one concerned about. A lot of the schools are getting only half or just 1 semester of art, or just no art at all, which I don't think is reasonable, because you really need to give students time to think outside of the box, be creative, and really just be themselves in the form of putting a pencil onto a piece of paper. So I think you guys should really try to make it so all students, no matter what, get a full year of art once or twice a week.
Good evening, trustees and Mr. Sheckman. I just want to thank everybody for the efforts I've seen so far in supporting the arts, and basically what's best for students. And I've been hearing that a lot tonight, and thinking especially of Claudia, and the position that is up for Assistant of Superintendent of Elementary, who I definitely support. Today I wanted to just quickly share some observations I've made as in my role as a visual and performing art teacher on special assignment. What that means is I go to all the sites and I see what's happening everywhere. I've made it to every single site this year already. At the elementary level, those schools that experienced a 50% decrease in their visual arts are suffering. The students are suffering, the teachers are suffering, the community overall is suffering. It may seem like that was not a big deal, but the truth is it's affecting everybody. I urge you guys to ask about the formula that our district uses to determine what we call release budget FTE at sites. It doesn't appear to be inclusive of several factors that I think we just need to analyze that a little bit because there are shortages and there are not enough grown-ups on campus. Lastly, Prop 28 is here. That means that those funds are available now. And I really urge principals and community members and teachers to really ask, how are we using that money now? Why are there any schools that are lacking in their arts programming at this point in time? Because about 15,000 arts teachers are going to be hired in the next 3 to 5 years in California. If we don't get on it now, we are not going to be first in line.
Thank you, everyone. So we'll move on to our employee organization comments. So this is where we hear from our employee organizations, and each will have 5 minutes. And we'll start with the Pajaro Valley Federation of Teachers.
Good evening, board, Mr. Scheckman. So here we are as we approach the end of September. Our educators have been establishing their learning environments, creating these positive, safe, inclusive classrooms for our students to thrive, because we are all about creating the schools that our students deserve and advocating for the programs that our students deserve. So, you know, as Kim DeSerpa said, Trustee DeSerpa said, you know, she thanked those or congratulated those students and acknowledged the students who are waiting, who are going to submit their college applications. There's a lot of teachers and counselors and other education staff, along with parents, who are helping, taking time out of their day to look over some of these letters. So this is the stuff that we give. And that's the stuff that we volunteer to give. It's not the stuff that we feel that we need to be mandated to give. It's because we do love our students. Thank you, Grayson, for talking about how sad it is when you don't have art. I was a newcomer teacher, and my undergraduate degree is in the arts. And so it is through the arts, and I'm also a second language learner. And it was the arts back in the 70s. They didn't have, this was like the establishment of ESL programs in the 70s, and so they were still figuring things out. But it was the arts that brought me in to school as an elementary student and helped develop, where I got to develop language. It was the arts that inspired me to learn about a lot of history, actually. And it is the arts that helped many of my newcomer students develop and grow their language. Because if you go to a museum, guess what you see alongside a beautiful painting or any type of piece? You see something written up. When you listen to artists, they are articulate about their work. That's all because creativity, being able to have those avenues to express their expression through visual presentation or movement and music, you are going to be able to speak to it as well. Prop 28 funds are coming in, and our district is receiving about $2 million. We do know that, you know, it is up to the school sites. So yes, it is important that our administrators understand that. That is, it should be taken to the families to talk about how do we want to use this money here at our school site. So you didn't actually see, in that $109 million ending reserve that our district has from like just an amazing amount of money that they acquired from last year. That doesn't include the Prop 28 monies in it. So that, what you'll see on in the next budget report in December, that's where you'll see that money included. All of this is connected. This system that we're in, it's so interconnected. You take something out, and it is going to mess up the system. When you are short-staffed in SELPA, and yet you are going to reduce staffing positions, like telling a person you're no longer needed, even though they provide an important service within our SELPA community. We feel it. Our students feel it. We feel it. When you take things away from people who have demonstrated the capability of doing a job and trying to figure out how can I make their contract work against them, or how can I just commit an illegal act and hopefully they won't have the wherewithal to pursue it, that impacts us because, as you have said, well, if you make people upset, they're going to quit. They're going to go somewhere else. So keep them happy. Well, that's the thing, keep them happy. How do we keep the people who work in education happy? We create sustainable workloads, and those sustainable workloads and those help foster a positive learning environment. Our teachers, while they are super thrilled and passionate about being teachers, that doesn't mean we're willing to give everything, every bit of ourselves. We still go home to families, we still go home to our hobbies, we still go home. And we need to be able to shut our brains down from all of that work and be able to pursue the people that we are outside of the jobs that we do. So I think it's great that we're going to, I really hope that you approve Claudia's contract. That is an incredibly important role in this system. So I just want to end with, while we constantly talk about mental health, all these things in our system of education help in creating those positive learning environments and helps with our own mental health. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone from CSEA presenting tonight? Nope. Okay. Anyone from PAVAM?
Thank you, sir. Here we go. Good evening, President Holm, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Checkman. Tonight, I have the extreme pleasure of speaking on behalf of PAVAM and bragging about our amazing technology team. And I was going to put together a presentation specifically for this when I realized that the one that I presented to our Summer in the City intern students really kind of covered it. And I was using a template that they provided to all the different district departments that was really focused on kind of the perspective of what students would want to know about our different departments in the district. And so I'm actually going to present a little bit about our technology services team using that presentation. This is working, great. So the first slide, their question, what is our department responsible for? How does it fit into the district as a whole? And the technology services department, we used to say everything that's plugged in. And that's pretty much true, but now we have things that are actually powered over Ethernet, and there's wireless charging and all sorts of other types of technologies beyond just electrical technology. So all the network servers, computers, mobile devices, databases, all that kind of stuff, supported by an incredibly talented team of technology technicians, engineers, and certificated staff as well. And then a lot of instructional technology, right? Supporting our teachers, training teachers, implementing all the different teacher tools in the classrooms across the district. And the Technology Services Department falls under Business Services, which has been led by the amazing Clint Rucker, who I've had the amazing honor to work with. And we're all sorry to see him go, but we wish him well. And he's been a great leader for our entire division and technology services as a whole. So how our department supports students, We're always working to improve technology, improve systems, making things easier for teachers and other staff members to use, constantly refreshing student devices, all the different infrastructure components, as well as new applications and databases and tools. And as you know, technology is constantly changing. The need is constantly changing. It's constantly growing. And so having a team of experts that are able to do so much with so little, really, is what it comes down to. And really what that is because technology is always changing, I always think that our team is a great example of what really a lifelong learner is. Right? Everybody that works in the technology services team is constantly learning, and they have to continue to learn because it's always changing. So I'm going to go quickly, not go over every point here because I know we have a lot on the agenda, but our department really supports that whole child, whole family, whole community vision of the district through all of the communication systems that we use to support the parents and the community as a whole. We also support getting internet access to our families, our students, and the community as well. And then a whole bunch of different technology components to really engage parents in the instruction that, and curricular aspects of their students' education. And then the last part here, I just really wanted to go over a couple quick things that are on our website, and that's why I managed to get this mouse that almost works. So off the Tech Links button from the front page of the PVSD website, if I had a keyboard, I could zoom in. Here is the directory, and I just really wanted to quickly show off the amazing and talented team of our technology services department. So this includes certificated teachers on special assignment, classified technicians and engineers, and then also our admin management team as well. It's an incredible group of people always working together, collaborating together, that are really making all of this stuff possible. And real quick, I'm going to go back to one other item in here, which is under instructional technology. Just have to do a plug for our new, these are our technology coaches. On this page, yeah, they're incredible. You see that there's an innovative teacher spotlight where they're showcasing teachers across the district and the great work that they're doing. But they also have now their new Tech Academies pages where teachers can sign up to do a variety of different training, project-based training opportunities to work with those students. They'll get paid for any time they do outside of their contract hours. And the tech coaches actually come into their classroom to help them make these projects happen with their students. It's not just train the teacher and then hope that they're able to work it out on their own. And then real quick, final thing here, if I can find my, here, Alt tab me over to the presentation, Silvestre, there we go. So just a couple quick shots of, these are images of our technicians, engineers, and admin team working in classrooms, working with students, collaborating with teachers across the district, doing fun projects with kids, just showing that these technicians are not just in the back with the boxes and wires. They're on the floor working with kindergartners, doing robotics programs and coding programs and all that. And so I just wanted to show them off, and thank you all very much.
I guess we have a public speaker to this item.
Yes, we have one, Chris Webb.
Yes. Regarding the slogan for this year, when I came and saw the slogan for this year, it kind of was it didn't sit that well because the credibility of some of the leadership group was kind of undermined over the last couple of years. Like, you can't tell me like our proven time-tested system is too harsh because the kid who didn't perform academically because they're ditching class, they wind up losing early lunch privilege. You can't like say that type of consequence is bad, but then say, no, eventually, Chris, they will learn the consequences because the consequence will be they won't graduate, or we'll see them in court for SARB. Like that was a little bit too harsh. So I wonder if
sorry, Chris,
for this year, I'm wondering, can we?
Chris, can I interrupt for a second?
Kim, I've got.
Is that okay?
Kim.
Can I just say something?
Mm-hmm.
As a point of order, this does not feel connected to a presentation on technology, so I'm wondering if you're going to be making a connection.
I am going to make a connection.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
That basically we need to be more collaborative in a genuine way, and that means like we can't just have top-down things, and then just say like, this is the plan, we made it from here, and then we're not really connected to the resources at the site. Also, like what I think is like good collaboration is that tech piece that Dan just talked about, like the gaming thing, because you got to sign up, they worked with your schedule. Like that's what we need to do. We need to do more like that, where we're working with our groups, not just like coming down on them. Plus, sometimes if we don't have those systems, and then I rely on the district replacement, it doesn't always support things. Like we've done, if SARB was if SARB was a thing, like we shouldn't have had the attendance that we had last year, if that was a real tool. So I think we should really focus down on the collaboration and then the equity piece. Like when we decide to make changes at the site level or any level, like ask ourselves, does this enhance equity for staff and students, or doesn't it? Thank you.
Do we have anybody from CWA? What?
Good evening, board members and President Holm and Interim Superintendent Scheckman. My name is Mike Floor. I've been a substitute and a supplemental employee in the district since 2004. I'll brag a little bit. Those first 15 years, I worked 186 or more days on my own without a contract. I also did after school on the same day. I worked in all the different after school programs, extended learning for 12 years, going into 13 years. I switched over to Fitness for Life for a year. I got recruited into the migrant programs where I was working up until the COVID shutdowns. During COVID, I was recruited, given an opportunity to start LPAC testing, and we learned a very, very complicated computer system, two computers working simultaneously. A lot of the testers that have been doing it for decades left because they didn't want to take on the technology. When we went back in person the following year, I stayed with the LPAC testing, so most of my days now are doing LPAC testing. We're just finishing up the initial season right now. The last 3 years, the initial completion has been 100% for the first time ever. That's because of me, because I go out and go to one school to test one kid. I clean up all the details. And I feel I've done a really good job. That for the last 19 years, I've shown up, I've been reliable, I get called a hero often. I notice in the morning, Gladys Lee and sometimes Brian Saxon will send out an email saying that we need subs at these sites. There's no fewer than 15 to 21 jobs a day that don't get a sub right now. So there's a need for subs, and there has been for a few years. I answer the call often. But right now, 2/3 of my year is spent LPAC testing. I haven't missed a day since I started LPAC testing. I work all day. I don't take a lunch. So the reason I'm here tonight is because I just found out that the rate that I've been getting paid for the last 3 years, I got a reduction in pay, a $2.50 or more reduction in pay. It seems absolutely ludicrous to me. I've never had a pay reduction in my working career. I've had hours reduced, I've lost jobs, but I've never had my rate reduced when I'm well into the position. So I understand that nobody has really represented the CWA union in some time. So I'm here to respectfully introduce myself and let you know that there is energy and activity working with the CWA union right now. We're working with Louis Rocha, and Robert Hathaway's part of it. There's a guy named Robert Tongan who represents us from Sacramento. I went to the meeting last Thursday night. There's 7 or 8 new people attending that meeting. We're in the process of putting together a local, real chapter of the union so we can start advocating for pay that's in accordance with the teachers' salaries that are increasing. We got some raises a few years ago, but we don't seem to be getting raises in accordance with the new contract. The teachers got a 20% raise on their contract. There's some numbers that I'm not going to get specific about here, but there's negotiations happening right now, and there doesn't seem to be any flexibility or openness from the school district to accommodate what I think are kind of low requests to increase the pay for Tier 1, 2, and 3 substitutes, and to also increase the hourly rate for supplemental employees. I don't think anyone in this room would appreciate getting a reduction in pay for no cause at all. So something's not right. I'm here to represent the substitutes, the after-school teachers, and then the LPAC testers and other supplemental employees that are being affected by this. It seems just a breach of attention towards our needs. And substitutes, I've also heard rumors that we're not considered teachers, but we're called substitute teachers for some reason. And we have a unique skill set that is more than what a teacher does, because we adapt to different school environments. We teach every grade level. Sometimes we're supervising. Sometimes we're actively engaged in teaching. The school I worked at yesterday, I was engaged with those 4th graders the entire day. I taught a math lesson, I'm just trying to tell you that whatever the lesson plan is, we adapt to it. We adapt to a lot of different things. It's a tough job. Is that 5 minutes? So I'd respectfully like to ask you to raise the sub rates in accordance with the teachers.
Thank
and we'd
you.
also like to work with
Thank
the
you. That was 5
teachers
minutes.
union. Thank you.
All right, so we will move on to our action items. The first one is item 8.1, approve resolution 232410, recognizing October as LGBTQ+ History Month, and the report will be presented by Chrissy McLean, our coordinator of academic and social emotional counseling programs.
Good evening, President Holm, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Scheckman. My name is Chrissy McLean. I'm the coordinator of counseling programs. And today I am proud to present the resolution proclaiming October as LGBTQ+ History Month. Behind me are some PBUSD colleagues who are going to present portions of the resolution to read them with you all. I have Katie Kriskunis, Amy Thomas, Jen Salinas-Holz, and Bobby Pells.
Hello there. Whereas Pajaro Valley Unified School District Board of Education believes that the rich variety and diversity of families and communities is one of our strengths, and furthermore believes that a strong community consists of a supportive unit composed of various genders, orientations, cultures, races, and ethnicities. And whereas Pajaro Valley Unified School District Board of Education values, honors, and welcomes the diversity of our student body, our teachers, our staff, and administrators, including the diversity of sexual orientation and identity in our community.
And whereas Pajaro Valley Unified School District Board of Education recognizes that we have students and staff at all grade levels and within the organization that are LGBTQ+ and or have LGBTQ+ family members, and they deserve to feel recognized and valued. And whereas Pajaro Valley Unified School District has, through our resolutions and our actions, made a commitment to achieving acceptance through fostering diversity and inclusion in our staff, our school population, and in our curriculum.
Whereas on July 14th, 2011, the Fair, Accurate, Inclusive, and Respectful, or Fair Education Act was passed and signed into law in California and mandates the inclusion of the political, economic, and social contributions of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people in the social studies and history curricula in public schools. And whereas on July 14th, 2016, the California State Board of Education passed a new history social science framework that includes LGBTQ+ American history content to be taught in K-12 classrooms. And
whereas LGBTQ+ individuals continue to make noteworthy and important contributions that have led and will continue to have great impact on our history, culture, and society. And whereas the Pajaro Valley Unified School District supports the rights, freedoms, and equality of those who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, pansexual, and asexual, LGBTQ+, and
whereas the Pajaro Valley Unified School District affirms its role in and commitment to continuing the historical process of transforming the educational system to ensure inclusiveness, safety, and a sense of belonging for all LGBTQ+ students, teachers, staff, and their families. And now therefore it be resolved that the Pajaro Valley Unified School District Board of Education celebrates the accomplishments of LGBTQ+ people in history, encourages all schools to celebrate October as LGBTQ+ History Month, and encourages teachers to teach lessons about LGBTQ+ history in their classrooms aligned with the state history framework, and not just in October, but all year long. Thank you, and we'd love this approved.
Do we have any public speakers to this item?
We do. Shannon McLeod, Leah Sugarman, and Jen Salinas Holtz.
Hi, Superintendent Sheckman and the board. I'm just here to say thank you for taking this proposal for this LGBTQ plus month and for every month moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, trustees, superintendent. Obviously, this is a joyful celebration. And I want to remind some of you were here last year when we had a difficult school board meeting, and I appreciate many of you who got up from your seats and stood with students who were here presenting, who were being attacked by really negative homophobic, transphobic comments from the audience. So obviously, my name is Leah Sugarman Rodriguez. I'm a teacher in the district, I'm a community member, and I'm a parent. And I'm the proud mom of the president of the Alianza QSA Club, who's supervised by Jen Salinas. And I'm hoping that we can come together in joyful, celebratory moments, and also when things are hard, that you're going to stand with us when transphobia, when homophobia comes to our school district and our community, that we stand against hate. Thank you.
Good evening, Superintendent Sheckman, President Holm, members of the board. My name is Jen Salinas Holtz. I am a PVUSD classified staff member, part of the PVUSD LGBTQ Task Force and the Safe Schools Project of Santa Cruz County, an advisor for elementary and middle school Gay Straight Alliance clubs at 2 PVUSD schools, a member of the Watsonville LGBTQ plus community, and most importantly, the parent of 2 PVUSD middle and high school students. I'm also one of the organizers of the Understanding Gender Summit, which will take place this Saturday, September 30th at Watsonville High School, and which I invite you all to attend and learn. First, I want to thank you for your consistent and strong support of LGBTQ plus students in our district. This support, which includes the resolution recognizing October as LGBTQ History Month and the raising of the pride flag at all school sites for the month of October, not only helps vulnerable students feel safe and welcomed at school, it literally saves lives by helping to prevent suicide among LGBTQ youth, especially in light of the extremist hate group that is currently working to establish itself in our community with the stated intent to target transgender students. This support is more important than ever. Santa Cruz County Superintendent of Schools, Faris Sabah, sent out a statement last week declaring his full support for LGBTQ plus students and inviting parents and youth to attend our Understanding Gender Summit and the Queer, Trans, and Allied Student Summit this weekend. The Scotts Valley School Board at their meeting last night also stated that they unequivocally support LGBTQ plus students, and the SoCal Union Elementary School District Superintendent issued a public statement today in support of LGBTQ plus students and our summits. So I ask you to join these educational community leaders and let our PVUSD community know that our board also advocates for LGBTQ plus students and is committed to ensuring their safety at school. Thank you.
Our next 3 are Roddy Kirkman, Bobby Marchesalt, and Randall, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your last name. Corubias.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Sheckman. My name is Roddy Kirkman. I am the Chief Negotiator for the Pajaro Valley Federation of Teachers. And I just want to stand in full support of this resolution, especially in the current climate of fear-mongering across the nation, but also as mentioned previously, we are seeing coming closer and closer into our community. I am proud to see our district taking this resolution and moving towards moving in a step in the right direction towards inclusivity and protecting those who are part of our community. So I just want to add to that, and this has been said in a variety of different ways, so I'm paraphrasing a number of people, that intentions without actions to back it up can very often increase harm to those who you are intending to protect. So I just look forward to seeing the actions that the district is ready to engage in to not just have a resolution, but to also protect our LGBTQ plus community. Thank you.
Hello again, board. Bobby Marchesalt. This time, different hat. This matters to me as a parent and as a teacher, but I'm also a minister in the community. I lead a faith community called Missio Dei Community, an organic faith community that is connected to a denomination called Christian Church Disciples of Christ. And last year when this resolution came up, I was here with a letter signed by more than a dozen faith leaders from Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, and Jewish communities affirming our LGBTQ siblings, encouraging you to adopt it, and thanking you for doing so. I know that all those colleagues and friends would do the same thing this year, so I didn't send it out again, and more, especially with the current climate that's been addressed. Unfortunately, when it comes to faith traditions in the public square, the voices of inclusion and love are not the ones that tend to be the most amplified. And so I just want to share with you tonight that this summer at our denomination's gathering of all our North American communities, I stood in a room with 2,000 to 3,000 Christians with a resolution before us to oppose anti-trans legislation that was affecting youth across the country and Canada. And that resolution was adopted without a single no vote. And so I wanted to come and just say, thank you for putting our youth first, for protecting and standing with vulnerable students, for passing resolutions like this so they know they are seen and have dignity. And I and many in our faith community and our wider community stand with you and are very grateful. And to any students listening, I want to encourage you to block out the haters and know that you are valuable, you are beautiful, you are loved, you are divine, and so many of you give me hope for the future, so be you. Thank you.
Raudel misunderstood and thought that he could speak over Zoom. I have his statement here if he can't speak over Zoom. I'm like on, or I could call him in really quick. Is that okay to just read his statement right now? Or what would you?
You can give your statement.
Okay, this is for Raudel. I first want to start off with a quote from an article which came out in June of 2023. Today, the Human Rights Campaign, the nation's largest lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender and queer civil rights organization, officially declared a state of emergency for LGBTQ plus people in the United States for the first time in its more than 40-year history. Today, we as a community have gathered to turn to you and prove this statement wrong. We have fought for both our existence and the acceptance of our community for decades, and with this resolution, you not only solidify our existence, but you take action and make our education system a safer space for students to be themselves. Thank you.
Our last three speakers are Leslie Reed Harrison, George Gullion, and Rob DeRoe.
Good evening, board members, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening. I just want to thank you for your support in advance of our LGBT IQ2S plus students, and for this opportunity to speak to the tremendous value in demarking October as LGBT IQ2S plus History Month, being part of our young people's curriculum. In my previous position in a local nonprofit, I ran their local youth speakers program, as well as their gender and sexuality trainings, where I engage with youth across the county regularly. There were many times where I had students online who were exhibiting suicidal ideation, and we also know that there unfortunately are some students who were successful in their attempts. We also know that suicide is the second leading cause of death amongst young people between the ages of 10 and 24, and LGBTIQ2S+ youth are at significantly increased risk because queer youth are 4 times likely as average students to attempt suicide. We're talking about 1 suicide attempt every 45 seconds. This number increases too for students with intersectional identities, especially our BIPOC students. With an increase in right-wing anti-LGBTIQ2S+ rhetoric, fatal violence against our community, especially our trans and non-binary youth, is a reality. Groups like Moms for Liberty, deemed extremist by the Southern Poverty Law Center, are stoking this kind of violence in our beloved Watsonville and surrounding communities.
I'm sorry, that was 2 minutes.
And if I may just...
That was time, sorry.
In closing, I just would ask that you include LGBTIQ2S+ lives in our curriculum. This is literally life-saving for many of our young people. Thank you, and thank you for letting me go over.
Hello, good evening. My name is Jorge Guillen, and I am a lifelong resident of Watsonville. I attended school at Sal Si Puedes, now Alianza, then Minty White Middle Elementary, Ea Hall Middle School, and I graduated in 2003 from Watsonville High. And I am here in support of the resolution to adopt October as LGBTQI History Month, because growing up in Watsonville, in the schools that I mentioned, homophobia and transphobia was rampant. There was little to no support from faculty, let alone any kind of clubs, and often the physical and verbal harassment towards LGBTQI students would go with impunity. Being in the closet was the only way to survive at that age, and nobody deserves to live that way. The resolution to adopt October as LGBTQI History Month is a crucial step in the ongoing effort to protect the rights of LGBTQI people, rights that have been fought for over the last couple of decades and have come at the expense of our LGBTQI elders. Our LGBTQI elders have had to face decades of injustice and intolerance, and in the 80s and 90s had to endure the AIDS epidemic before receiving any form of support from our government and from society at large. Now we have the groups Moms for Liberty actively trying to eradicate the progress our community has made, all in the name of child safety. The Moms for Liberty organization has direct ties to the twice impeached, 4 times indicted and 2 times liable ex-president in Trump, and also have ties to people like Betsy DeVos and Ron DeSantis, all who are actively trying to dismantle our public education system by attempting to infiltrate school boards and attempting to ban books that empower our history. Moms for Liberty is aiming to establish itself in Watsonville because they see our community as an easy target, but they are wrong. Our community is strong, and Moms for Liberty will not set us back 50 to 100 years back. Moms for Liberty are not only spreading misinformation, but they are also pushing to erase LGBTQI history and our very existence. Their message is that LGBTQI educators and the education system. In closing, I trust that the board will adopt this resolution, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, President Holm, members of the board, and Interim Superintendent Scheckman. I'm Rob Darrow, Director of Research for the Safe Schools Project of Santa Cruz County. I'm here tonight to commend you as a board, as a school district, as administrators and teachers and support staff across your schools and across your district, because the actions you've taken over the past several years have made your schools more inclusive and more welcoming for LGBTQ+ students and their families. You have adopted history and health curriculum that are aligned to the state frameworks and standards. You have active LGBTQ plus student clubs at your middle and high schools with supportive teachers and advisors. You've helped support many of the countywide LGBTQ plus student events in our schools, including the annual Queer Youth Leadership Awards and the summit that's happening this week at Watsonville High. Research shows that when students see themselves in the curriculum and they feel welcomed in their classrooms and schools for who they are more engaged with learning. Through your board policies, your curriculum adoptions, and supportive actions of your interim superintendent, the district and school administrators, teachers, and support staff, your schools are more inclusive and supportive today than they have been in the past. Thank you for your ongoing work, and I trust you'll adopt this resolution tonight.
Do we have any discussion from the board? From our student trustee?
Thank you, President Holm. I just want to share my appreciation for this resolution. As this year's student trustee, I'm committed to representing all students, and that means advocating for the rights and well-being of students who are part of the LGBTQ plus community. I feel incredibly heartbroken when our freedom of expression is jeopardized, and I would like to see our district continue to support students. School is where students go to learn, and it should continue to be a safe space for students. Thank you.
Anyone else? Trustee Serpa?
Thank you to the staff and faculty who brought that forward. I appreciate your comments and your presentation. This was a beautiful resolution. I want to thank Rob Darrow for his comments here at the mic as well, and everybody else who spoke tonight. Most of you know me, Kim DeSerpa. I have always been an advocate for GLBTQ plus protection here in our district for our kids. I go to the Queer Youth Awards every year, just about. I don't know if I've even missed one in 14 years. And it's one of our to me, it's one of the most amazing events that we can go to as trustees. This last year, I was the only trustee that went. I know Dr. Holm and I have been together, but I would like to see our other trustees attend the event. Daniel, I think I've seen you maybe at Watsonville High, yeah. It's just a beautiful, beautiful event. I'd like to thank some people. Over my career, I've helped a lot of people who are really struggling with their identity. I want to thank in our community Dr. Jen Hastings, who would often accept referrals from me. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and oftentimes I might be the first person somebody talks to, and I would often refer them both to Dr. Jen Hastings and Dr. Shane Hill, who provided psychological counseling and safety for many, many people in our community. I'd also like to thank Rob Darrow for his words tonight. I think I already did that, but thank you, Rob. And for Stuart Rosenstein, who really hosts the Queer Youth Awards, and it's been his project for many, many years. So thank you very, very much. I'd like to see the Triangle speakers in our district more often. I'm not sure where we are with that, and maybe we could have a report on that later, but I do think that's a very important medium for people to see and hear differences. And to all the kids out there who are struggling and worrying and have anxiety about their sexuality, their gender, etc., I would offer you, there's a beautiful online agency or program. It's called the Trevor Project, and you can go on there and you can text, like right now with a counselor if you're having trouble. And if you are considering suicide, the Trevor Project is a really great place to turn, as well as if you dial 988. You can also text there. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I'll be supporting this resolution tonight on behalf of my children. Some of them are queer, and also my best friends here in Santa Cruz. And I lost one of them this weekend, Chris Hoagland, a beautiful LCSW. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to also thank all the speakers and our staff for bringing this forward. This is it's very heartening to see that our district's a leader and can be doing more. So I'm just grateful for your leadership and bringing this to our attention, and I'm proud to support it. Thank you.
Trustee Dodge Jr.
I just kind of
I just want to say, thank you to all the speakers, but I also wanted to thank the speaker who graduated from Watsonville High School in 2003. I graduated from Watsonville in 2000, and I know what it's like to sit next to somebody who was afraid to, be who they wanted to be, love who they wanted to love, because they were scared. They had nowhere to go. They didn't have a club or any type of support, and so, as the speaker was saying, I'm glad PVUSD is giving people who aren't sure or who are abused by their parents for loving, for being who wanted to be. And I just wanted to thank the speaker for that, because it was a tough time. Yeah. So I just want to say thank you to that speaker, and I'm not sure if Trustee Scow seconded it, but if he didn't, I would like to.
We don't technically have a first yet.
Okay, so I support this resolution. Thank you.
I didn't have any prepared comments tonight because I was trying to think of, what can I say about this that I haven't already said? And but maybe there's somebody out there who needs to hear, again. But, one of the things that I often hear as a trustee about concerns about resolutions and measures like this is a concern about, well, maybe these kids are confused, or, we're just concerned about the safety. Let me tell you a little bit about confusion and what it's like to be a kid in the LGBTQ plus community. When I was growing up, I knew I wasn't straight, but my role model for bi folk was Sharon Stone's character in Basic Instinct. And I knew I wasn't a psychopathic murderer, so clearly I couldn't be that. And it really took a long time to understand, not who I wanted to be, but who I was. And struggling with that was confusion. None of us in my high school class, nobody was out. No one. Why? Fear. Fear of being injured, fear of being rejected, fear of being ostracized. Going back to that's not about safety. My children have grown up in a different era. My kids have friends in elementary school, in middle school, in high school who are out and happy, who are out and happy and accepted. There's still progress to make. We still have a lot of work to do. But we're not going back to what I experienced as a kid. Absolutely not. And that's the end of my extemporaneous comments. So yeah. So if
I'll make a motion.
All right, we have a motion. And
I'll second. I'm sorry. Were you guys fighting over who was making the motion?
we can arm wrestle.
I'll second.
So we have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0-2. All right, thank you. So we have item 8.2, Indigenous Peoples Day Resolution 23-2411. Report will be presented by Lisa Aguirre, our Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Education.
Thank you. Good evening, President Dr. Holm, Board of Trustees, and Interim Superintendent, Mr. Scheckman. I would like to begin by acknowledging that I'm on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Amah people, and they are still here. I wish to pay my respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Amah and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. Under the crust of the earth called North America are buried the bones, villages, fields, and sacred objects of the first people of the land, the Indigenous people. Whereas Indigenous Peoples Day reimagines Columbus Day and changes a celebration of colonialism into an opportunity to reveal historical truths about the genocide and oppression of indigenous people in America, to organize against current injustices, and to celebrate indigenous uprising. And whereas the Pajaro Valley Unified School District recognizes that the indigenous peoples of the land that would later become known as the Americas have occupied these lands since time immemorial. And whereas the majority of Santa Cruz County was home to the Waswas people, including the Soquel, Cahataka, Sayanta, and Aptos tribelets, who are collectively part of the Ama Mutsun tribal band. And whereas Pajaro Valley Unified is committed to enhancing equity and diversity and remains dedicated to providing schools with resources and supports to advance ethnic studies, courses, and curriculum. Now therefore be it resolved that the Pajaro Valley Unified Board of Trustees recognizes Indigenous Peoples Day and to strongly support the proposition that Indigenous Peoples Day shall be an opportunity to celebrate the thriving cultures and values of the indigenous peoples in our region and throughout North America, including Mexico. And resolved that the Pajaro Valley Unified Board of Trustees shall, unless and until it expresses a contrary position, continue to recognize the second Monday in October as Indigenous Peoples Day. I'm going to leave you with a passage from Braiding Sweetgrass. Our people were canoe people until they made us walk, until our lakeshore lodges were signed away for shanties and dust. Our people were a circle until we were dispersed. Our people shared a language to which to thank the day until they made us forget. But we didn't forget, not quite. With that, I ask that you do approve resolution number 232411, recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day. Thank you.
Do we have any public speakers to this item?
We do. Roddy and Chris Smith. Oh, sorry, Chris Webb.
Good evening again, Board of Trustees. I want to thank Lisa for bringing this forward. I 100% support this resolution. However, the irony is not lost on me that just last year, on October 12th, this board approved a resolution proclaiming October as Italian Heritage Month, with a resolution containing an abundant praise of Christopher Columbus. And in case some of you weren't here on the board at that time, I'd like to read some of that. Whereas Christopher Columbus, the son of a wool merchant, was born in Genoa, Italy around 1451, and whereas Christopher Columbus was determined to find a quicker route west from Europe to Asia and embarked on what would become 4 voyages across the Atlantic Ocean, and whereas Christopher Columbus landed upon an island in the Bahamas and his journey became a catalyst for centuries of exploration. I would love to stand here in support of a resolution proclaiming what was formerly known as Christopher Columbus Day as Indigenous American Peoples Day. However, I feel it is inappropriate for the board to pass that without making amendments to the resolution that was passed last year in October, and to strike those mentions and praise of Christopher Columbus from that resolution. As somebody who is from Italian heritage, I have no problem with Italian Heritage Month. I just can't stand here and watch these 2 resolutions sit side by side. Thank you.
I want to second that. I was also going to comment on that. Also, I feel like I also support this resolution. I think we should make that change. I feel like our ethnic studies work is like partly how we make this real. So I hope we can continue that, and I look forward to that next step, however it comes, of working with like your staff and your administrators working together. I feel like that's a good opportunity for everyone. Also, I think that maybe we should look at a little history, and instead of like Columbus, consider Bartolome de las Casas, who, he came with Columbus, but then he kind of saw the light and recognized that maybe Columbus wasn't on the right side of history. So, like, I think it's something we should keep in mind, because sometimes we'll hear people raise a concern related to justice, and then we sometimes it's easy to be like, well, you know, you're talking about justice, but you're being divisive. Like if you just accepted some larger system that maybe is not good, that would be better. But like sometimes, like it is important to speak out, even if it's not the company line. So I do hope we can make the changes suggested, and I'm proud that our district is passing resolutions like this one and the previous one. Thank you.
Any discussion from the board? I guess our time's up.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this resolution. Thank you for bringing it forward.
I'd like to second that.
Any further discussion? All right, we've got a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0-2.
Thank you, Lisa.
Item 8.3, adopt resolution 232409, recognizing the week of the school administrator. Report will be presented by Allison Niazawa, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
Yes, thank you, President Holm, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Scheckman. I have the distinct pleasure of presenting the resolution for to recognize Administrator Week. So I'm just going to read a few excerpts of that resolution. School administrators are passionate, lifelong learners who believe in the value of quality public education. And public schools operate with lean management systems across the nation. Public schools employ fewer managers and supervisors than most public and private sector industries. Research shows great schools are led by great principals, and great districts are led by great superintendents. These site leaders are supported by extensive administrative networks throughout the state, and the state of California has declared the second full week of October as the week of the school administrator. The future of California's public education system depends on the quality of its leadership. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the Governing Board of the Pajaro Valley Unified School District that all school leaders in the Pajaro Valley Unified School District be commended for the contributions they make to the successful student achievement. So I respectfully request that you approve this resolution tonight.
Do we have any public speakers to this item?
We do not.
Any discussion from the board?
In our district, we're very fortunate to have a group of smart, committed, dedicated, excellent administrators. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve. And thank you, all the administrators that are sitting out here tonight, and to the cabinet and to Murray. Thank you for all the work that you do to help our kids and their families.
Trustee Dodge Jr.?
I also, too, like to say, thank you to, the administrators. I know we have a back and forth, but, I still want to be able, to recognize you. I also like to say thank you, Mr. Scheckman. When I met you, you were a principal. And then here we are, I don't know, yet decades later. So I just wanted to say, thank you for being a principal. I believe EA Hall, I remember meeting my EA Hall, so I'm not really sure. I also like to mention Nancy Bilicic, who was my high school principal, I believe, at Watsonville High in 1997. And I'd also like to thank Mr. Luis Medina, who's dedicated, his whole entire career here at PVUSD. He's born and raised. He's a Wildcat as well. And so I just wanted, to mention his name as well. So I'd just like to say thank you very much.
Trustee Scott?
Yeah, also want a big thanks to all of our administrators here at the DO and in our sites. The principals in my area are fantastic. You know who you are. Thank you for everything you do for our kids. It all works. We all rely on each other, and we all gotta work together. And that's why I've always been saying we should pay everybody well, top to bottom. And I think we're on our way to doing that at this district too, and we're gonna keep doing that. So happy to support this.
Was that a second?
Yeah, that's the second. Sorry.
Anything else?
I would just also like to say thank you to all the administrators, and I definitely see the hard work, and I see, the sites that I'm on and my children's sites. I like to see they wear many hats throughout the day, from, nurse to yard duty, parking lot attendant, everything. And so I very much appreciate the hard work that comes out of our admin.
My colleagues did a really good job of saying thank you, but I want to extend my thanks as well. Your work is appreciated. So we have a first and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 502. And moving on to item 8.4, approved contract of employment for assistant superintendent. Report will be presented by Murray Scheckman, interim superintendent of schools.
Thank you, President Holm. I think I'll start by using Trustee DeSerpa's words. Smart, talented, passionate. I missed her fourth and fifth word. But I'm referring to the individual who I'm recommending for hire. We brought this the last board meeting, and I understand the board's view and what the board was trying to do. I had conversations with individual board members. I think there's a perspective of the need. I think the loss of our CBO and what's happening there and saying goodbye to Clint at the end of the month adds to the need, thank you, of the hiring for this position. So it is my very strong recommendation that the board reconsider the hiring of Claudia Monjaras as our Assistant Superintendent for Elementary Education. Thank you.
Do we have any public speakers to this item?
Oh, yes. Roddy Kirkman, Barbie Marshall-Salt, and Amy Thomas.
Good evening again. I don't have any prepared comments for this, but I just want to stand up here and say that in this position I have been in for the last 4 years, going on 5 years, we have talked a lot to this board about hiring practices and diversifying our hiring and also building within our school district. And what came before the board last time was exactly that, building within our school district. When these panels happen, they're especially for a position like a superintendent, assistant superintendent, which is a vital part. The panel that they go through is enormous. There is representation from throughout this entire district. And it went through that process and then to cabinet and then was placed before the board with full recommendation. And so I'm very, very, very happy to see that it has come back in front of you for the opportunity to correct what happened at the last board meeting. And I want to ask that this board approve the contract for Claudia Monjaras, who has done an incredible service to this district for all of her years here. Thank you.
Hi, Bobby Marchsalt. This time here's a teacher. I also didn't necessarily prepare this time, which can be dangerous, but you know, I knew that I wanted to come and speak to this this topic, to this issue, because I want you to know that just because we're not in the room doesn't mean we're not watching. I was watching on Zoom last week as I'm doing dishes at home and doing the things I do, and I was very surprised, to be honest, by what I watched happen. It is very big of you, President Holm, I think, to make the apology you did. Maybe I have to go back and listen because I actually heard the same thing, and I was surprised by it myself. And the thing I think I wanted most to be able to come and say is, while I know we have not yet done community gatherings to get feedback from the community about what we're looking for in a superintendent, the decisions that are made here still affect what type of person we get as a superintendent. And as I heard us talk about, you know, the person coming in may want to bring in their own person. They may want to be part of that. I'm standing in my kitchen just saying to my phone, I don't want that person as our superintendent. I don't want somebody who's going to I want somebody who's going to come and value the people who've been here and who've put in the time. And I'll tell you the truth, I don't know Claudia, so I don't speak necessarily on behalf of it, but I heard so many great things about her. If the person's not the issue, I don't see a reason not to do this, because I know as an elementary school teacher that this is an important position that can't go unfilled until we get a new superintendent. So I do hope that you will approve this tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. I feel really short. Good evening, Superintendent Sheckman and PVUSD's trustees. My name is Amy Thomas. I'm the proud principal of the Watsonville Charter School of the Arts. Today I stand before you to passionately advocate for Claudia Monjares to assume the role of Assistant Superintendent within our school district. I believe that Claudia's exceptional qualifications, unwavering commitment to education, and outstanding leadership abilities make her the ideal candidate for this crucial position. Claudia has dedicated her life to the betterment of our educational system. She has shown remarkable dedication throughout her career as a teacher, administrator, and mentor, and constantly going above and beyond her call of duty. Her passion for fostering a positive learning environment for all students is truly inspiring. One of Claudia's most commendable qualities is her ability to lead by example. She has consistently demonstrated a strong work ethic and an unwavering commitment to educational excellence. Her innovative approach to curriculum development and her willingness to embrace new teaching methodologies have made a significant impact on our students' academic growth. In my opinion, though, you already knew this information. In fact, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Trustee DeSerpa, Trustee Holm, and Trustee Soto for understanding the needs of our district, our community, our schools, and our elementary administrators. You chose to honor the long process our candidate, Claudia Monjares, endured and excelled through. She is the right person for this position and will lead our district with patience, a good moral compass, and passion. I would also like to thank the other 4 trustees for bringing back this board agenda item for reconsideration. You have been given an important role as trustee to make the right choices to support the needs of all of our students. We are all here today in hopes that you support our recommendation to permanently hire Claudia as our Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Education. We know this acrid behavior can stop today. Please take this position seriously. Thank you.
Our next 3 are Megan Dolan, Hillary Kluger, and Sophia Perez.
Hello, Board, and Mr. Sheckman. Thank you for hearing me. I'm here today as both a teacher in our district and as a parent of an elementary school student. I don't want to talk about Claudia as a person because I'll cry. Because you've all heard this, but I was just so disheartened last meeting to hear that you didn't trust the process and that you didn't value our students enough 30 days into our school year to put an anchor and a leader in the elementary superintendent position. That's a position that oversees 18 elementary schools, early childhood education, migrant Head Start, and SELPA. And so to put the needs of our youngest and most vulnerable students without a leader and an anchor, and to then desegregate those duties to other people who are amazing, but who also have incredibly full plates, and leave those students without an anchor and an advocate in a year that is already a difficult year as we're coming back. I know it's only been 2 years that we've been back, but it really has only been 2 years that we've been back from huge upheaval, and then last year with the floods and other pieces. It felt really disrespectful to our students. And then to hear that the reason behind this is that you're waiting for some magical unicorn new superintendent with their shiny new person, when we have somebody who's come from our community as a parent, as a teacher, as an administrator in both the regular school classroom, extended learning, and then across K-12, and has that collaborative, brilliant spirit. To not have that honored was just, again, I was just really disheartened and disappointed. And I urge you to really reconsider making this position one that is permanent, or at least honor the 3-year contract that you're putting forward. Because I think a superintendent coming to our district would want to see that we value the people who are coming here, we value the decisions of their cabinet, and most of all, we value our students. Thank you.
I'm a lot taller. All right. Good evening, trustees and Mr. Sheckman. I reached out to all of you and just wanted to share a couple of words. I've been part of this district for 23 years and have had the privilege of working with Claudia for the last 1.5 years as a coach for the district. And she is just, you couldn't get anybody that's better. Her leadership skills, she's an incredible leader, and she's compassionate and knowledgeable, and the elementary schools in this district would benefit so greatly from having her look after them. To me, it is so important that we have key positions in place, so when the new superintendent comes, they have people to lead them and train the new person. So to me, it seems like a ridiculous idea to have somebody come in and dismantle all the hard work that's been done. Everybody in this room who works for this district has worked really hard, and we've made great progress. So I think it's really important that we continue the work we're doing and keep our momentum going. So I urge you to make the right decision for our students, for our teachers, for our community, and improve the position for Claudia to be the new superintendent for elementary. Thank you.
I'm much shorter. Good evening, President Holm, Board of Trustees, and Interim Superintendent Sheckman. My name is Sofia Perez, and I'm a very proud classified employee of PVUSD for the past 16 years. I'm really happy to see this item back on the agenda, and I'm excited that we'll have an assistant superintendent for elementary education. I look forward to your yes vote, and because not having someone in this position is truly hurting the children of PVUSD.
Our next three are Nellie, Lisa Sandoval, and Bobby Pelez.
Good evening, Board. Mr. Sheckman. Well, I already said what I said during my PVFT statement. But I do want to add, when I came into this district, I worked at Minty White for my first many years, and I worked as an intermediate level teacher, but Claudia was in the primary grades. And while we didn't collaborate on the same teams, I could tell that, like she was pretty stellar. My son started off in first grade, and while she was not his teacher, there was still some connection because our kids, they're the same age, would hang out together. Then, in the position that I'm in now, as president of the PVFT, I get to see things in a different way, in a different light. I'm not an administrator, but I work with administrators, and so it provides me that opportunity to see Claudia in a different light as well, and not just the teacher or a colleague at a school site, but the administrator who works with a staff at a school site, and now an administrator who works in the district office overseeing curriculum that is incredibly important, and also staff people that we represent. And sometimes there's like disagreements. Maybe not. I haven't had to rail against her, but so I we'll see. But I got to say that of the various assistant supes that we've had, as when I was in elementary education teaching in elementary level, she is by far the most qualified of the several that I've worked with in that position. And so I just don't see the need to continue debating. And hopefully, you all wake up and vote yes. Thanks.
Good evening, President Dr. Holm, Interim Superintendent Sheckman, and Board of Trustees. I stand before you as a parent of PVUSD, a constituent, and an employee. I want to thank you for bringing back this item. ECE, the department that I work in, is running 2 new grants, as well as being part of 2 pilot programs and entering a 3rd. We need to have an administrator to meet with weekly with someone who is vested in the best outcomes of our district. Besides the fact that this position is vital to our district, the candidate is an exemplary example of what we should strive for in PVUSD. She has spent a great deal of her career in our district and most importantly entrusted her children to the schools and the community we all serve. So as I said before, thank you for bringing this back and trusting the process was followed properly and fairly, and the best candidate is being presented to you.
Good evening again. I would also like to show my support for Claudia in this position. I've had the privilege of working closely with Claudia for several years in the Ethnic Studies program, and I can say without reservation that you will not find anyone better suited for this position. My personal experience with Claudia has revealed her to be a tireless worker with a deep understanding of pedagogy and educational strategy. Her dedication to our kids is unwavering, and I can also say that she's a blast to work with. While I could go on, you already know that she is great. And our interim superintendent, whom we asked to be here and whose responsibility it is to make these decisions, has not only recommended her once, but is now insisting. I urge you to recognize his professional opinion. I understand the concerns you have with locking in a new assistant superintendent contract before hiring a new superintendent, but while you have no idea who that superintendent is going to be, with Claudia, you know exactly what you're getting. You know you have a dedicated, hardworking, and immensely respected individual who's here now and can do whatever it takes to support our students now. Why would we hesitate to take this opportunity in order to placate someone that we don't even know? Why would we hold back one of our best, fueled by concerns and hypotheticals? That doesn't make any sense to me. To me, it makes much more sense to place our trust in the individuals we already have in our district, to put our faith in our own people. If this means that a superintendent doesn't want to work here because they have to work with the dedicated people who have already shown their commitment to our district and to our kids, then quite frankly, they are not the superintendent for us. I believe approving this contract is what's best for our kids. You know that Claudia is an asset. Let's continue to foster the growth and success of our students under the leadership of someone that we know and that we trust. So thank you for your consideration.
Our next three are Emily Friedman, Ingrid Hartnett, and Kelly Crusha.
Good evening, President Holmes, Board of Trustees, and Interim Superintendent Scheckman. My name is Emily Friedman, and I'm an early literacy coach for the district, and I'm here to express my support for the approval of Claudia as the new assistant superintendent. Delaying the appointment of an assistant superintendent until the new superintendent is hired could potentially leave the crucial position vacant until next school year. This unnecessary delay would not only be detrimental to the district's continuity, but also overlooks the significant contributions Claudia can make to our students and staff right now. Claudia embodies the qualities of an outstanding leader: fairness, trustworthiness, even-keeled temperament, and deep institutional knowledge and exceptional intelligence. Her ability to navigate the complex landscape of curriculum and educational leadership is unmatched. She possesses the vision, dedication, and expertise needed to drive our district forward. I implored the board to reconsider their previous decision and to vote tonight to approve Claudia as the new assistant superintendent. Doing so would not only be in the best interests of our district, but also a recognition of Claudia's extraordinary contributions and qualifications. Thank you for your time and consideration. I trust that you will make the right decision for the future of PVUSD and the students and educators it serves.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. My name is Ingrid Hartnett, and I'm an educator in PVUSD with 2 children currently attending PVUSD schools. With over 2 decades of experience in public education, I have worked with my fair share of administrators. Tonight, I address the board with a plea to vote in favor of supporting a 3-year contract for Claudia Monjaras. You have already heard from many individuals, some of whom possess firsthand knowledge of Ms. Monjaras' exceptional qualification and leadership skills. You have a candidate who has been vetted and who's gone through a rigorous hiring process. As I've listened to the rationale provided by some board members for denying her a 3-year contract,
it appears that the board, as a collective body, may not be acting in the best interest of our community. Offering her a contract less than 1 year demonstrates a lack of understanding regarding the nature of the work involved. Regrettably, this is not the first time that the board has made decisions that seem to be influenced by personal biases. For instance, the board attempted to remove the former superintendent during a global pandemic, which could have been detrimental to the well-being of our students, educators, and community. Tonight, you are presented with another opportunity to vote in favor of a choice that will truly serve our community. Leaving the position vacant so that a future superintendent can select their own candidate is a short-sighted approach that does not align with our community's best interest. The board has a responsibility to make decisions that propel our learning community forward, not to impede progress in the name of optics. Ironically, our district currently boasts an unprecedented number of administrative interims, not to mention the significant number of administrators who have opted to return to teaching roles. The job is hard, and Claudia Monjarras stands prepared and willing to serve. This decision should not pose a considerable challenge. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, President Holmes, Board of Trustees, and Interim Superintendent Sheckman. My name is Kelly Crawshaw, and I've been a proud PVUSD teacher for 28 years. To those of you who voted against confirming Claudia Monjarras' 3-year contract as Assistant Superintendent of Elementary at the last board meeting, it was noticeable that during your discussion about it, you didn't once mention our students and what is in their best interest. And your no votes did not have the best interests of our students as the priority. Your decision had immediate negative effects on the education of our students. You left our elementary education in limbo. Effective organizations require strong leadership, and you left us without a leader. Your suggestion to offer someone a position for just 8 months is flawed for obvious reasons, and to expect other people to carry the load of this unfilled position is unsustainable. The fact that Claudia Monjarras is the best and most qualified person for this position should have been the focus at the last board meeting. I cannot stress enough how helpful it would be for a new superintendent to step into the position with the support of the expertise of Claudia as the Assistant Superintendent of Elementary. Claudia has deep understanding and knowledge ranging from the big picture educational systems to the complex inner workings of classroom instruction. Because of her expertise, her commitment to equity, her tireless work, her constant professionalism, her fairness, and her vision, Claudia has earned the respect and support of our classified, certificated, administrative, and cabinet district employees, as well as our students and families, which is quite a testament to her qualifications. Most importantly, Claudia does have our students' best interests as her #1 priority. She believes that our students deserve a quality education, and she knows that they are capable of excellence. I urge you to rectify your mistake so that we can have the leadership we need. Our students deserve it. Thank you.
And our last speaker will be Susan Gralty.
We're back to the short mode. Good evening, Dr. Jennifer Holmes, and board. I'm sorry, I'm just having a senior moment there. Thank you for having me here tonight, and thank you for bringing this back to the table. I would like to speak on behalf of Claudia. I met Claudia for the first time when I was coordinator of VAPA here at the district office 8 years ago now, and the first time she called because she had some teachers who wanted to teach their students recorder, and she had a volunteer come in who wanted to start a band. So she said, Sue, how can you help me to do this? And from the get-go, I knew that Claudia was really all about doing what was best for the students down to the core of her very being. She wanted access for the students to have access to the arts. She wanted students to have access to as many outside things as she could possibly give them for her students to have the very best. And Then Claudia came to the district office, and I had the opportunity to work with her for 4 years, and that was an incredible experience. She is a very bright, creative, innovative person, and I think we would do very well to have her as an anchor for both cabinet and our elementary administrators. Thank you.
Any discussion from the board? From our student trustee?
I would just like to thank everyone who has spoken up here today and and personally reached out regarding this. I would like to express my vote for the approval of the contract for Ms. Mujeres as Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Education. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Dodge Jr.
After reading my emails from the administrators and from the people across the district, I also like to acknowledge those who live in my district, and some of my constituents are here today. Thank you for reaching out to me. But I also heard from a few administrators in the schools that I represent, and they told me that I should reconsider my vote. And so I would like to rescind my vote and support Claudia to be the assistant superintendent. Thank you. Elementary, I'm sorry.
She can do it all.
Trustee Scow?
Yeah, thank you everybody for reaching out, engaging with us. It was very important to hear from you and our teachers, our administrators. I'm very impressed with our candidate. I think Claudia's going to be great in this role. I want to thank Superintendent Scheckman for the necessary and important discussions we've been having about the importance of these positions and our own processes. So I want to thank you for that. It's been very important, and I'm very much convinced. So I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
I also just wanted to say that I heard everyone. I did read the emails, and I definitely am listening, and I appreciate everyone reaching out. I would encourage with future items, reach out to us. I probably don't have the ability to answer everyone, but I do try, and I do hear you for sure. And I also, am going to vote yes on this.
So,
Thank you. As you heard the last time this came before this board, I am in full support of Claudia Manjares as our next assistant superintendent for elementary. She's got excellent credentials. She's homegrown. She's exactly the kind of person we want to promote into a position like this. So again, I'll be supporting that tonight, and I will make this second. There it is. I will say that I think we have board members here that are very well-meaning, and I don't mean to be patronizing or condescending. I think that you were trying to do the right thing in your mind, and I would just encourage you to put students at the center of all your decision-making. We have, through CSBA, the School Board Association, we have something called a Master's in, oh my gosh, what's it called?
Governance.
Thank you. A Master's in Governance that is free and that you can attend. There's also wonderful twice a year conferences that you can go to and learn about the role of a board member. And that was very helpful for me when I first started here as a board member. And so I would encourage you to learn more about your role. So I think you have a first and a second.
I do, but I also have a comment. I know that it's one thing to sit up here and say that a decision isn't personal, but that just means it's not personal for us. That doesn't change the fact of how a decision can affect someone personally or take away from the impact that it can have on a community. And sometimes in our role, we do have to make hard decisions, but being responsible means not shying away from or minimizing those impacts. And so I want to express my appreciation to my trustees for being willing to take that important second look. Thank you for that level of responsibility. Ms. Manjares, there was an outpouring of support from the community, not just what you heard in the room tonight, but lots of emails. And many of them discussed so many different ways that you have contributed to the PVUSD community. And, I learned things. It's like, I already had a lot of respect for the work that you do. But I was especially moved by one letter's discussion of how much of a supporter of the arts you have been. I hadn't known that. And given how much that is a priority for this board and our constituents, that's incredibly important right now. And I hope that you have the opportunity to continue in an expanded role, and it's looking promising. And I look forward to seeing what you can develop over the next 3 years and beyond. So we have a first and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0-2.
I'd like to make a quick comment. Claudia, cabinet meets at 9:30 on Tuesday. No, seriously, I want to thank all 7 board members. 2 couldn't be here. They were sincere in what they voted. They believed that they were creating an opportunity and did think of our students. Some disagreed, obviously. But I couldn't have brought it back without the support of one of the dissenters. So I do think we would have had a 7-0 vote, which I collect. So I'm going to call our 5-0 vote a 7-0 vote. But I want to honor all 7 of our trustees, because when they vote in concert, we get so much done. I appreciate the reflection from all 7 of our board members coming into tonight. And I'm as proud as anybody, and I wanted to say this with the previous resolution that Allison represented about the Week of the Administrators. When I was invited to consider this position, I looked at the list of the administrators in this district. Over half of them I knew and worked with, and was very motivating to return. And so I'm just so honored at the reflection of our 7 board members. I'm honored that Claudia will be part of a decision-making group that impacts this whole district, not just elementary, but it will be wonderful to have you on board, Claudia. And I'm grateful for all the comments. And you'll see the good leadership as we continue this meeting and get to talk about what's going on at Pajaro Middle School, where we have kids at Lakeview and 2 other elementary schools. So thank you, all of you, for your kindness. I used to work with mascots, and I was always able to say, go Wildcats, or go Falcons, or go Eagles. Go Pajaro. Thank you, everybody.
All right. 8.5. Get ready. All right. Approve change order number 1 for Hall District Elementary School HVAC and Roof Coating Project 2023-006. Orlando, our Director of Maintenance, Operations, and Facilities.
Good evening, President Holm, Intern Dr. Superintendent Checkman, Board of Trustees, Cabinet. My name is Orlando Fernandez, and I'm here to ask for the approval of change order number 1 for Hall District roofing project. This change order amount is for $6,420, and I'm asking for the approval to be added to the original contract of $1,697,510. So I'm asking that the board approve this change order number 1 for the contract Premier Builders.
Thank you. Do we have any public speakers to this item?
We do not.
Any discussion from the board? Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
I have a first. Do I have a second?
I second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 403.
Thank you.
And we're going on to item 8.6, approve 19.6 Architects Agreement for the Aptos High School Gas Line Replacement Project, 2023-025. Erlindo, it's still you.
Good evening again. It's me again, Erlindo Fernandez. For this action item, I'm here to ask for the approval of to continue with the agreement of Maddie 19.6 Architects out of Santa Cruz. This project is estimated at $1 million. For their services, fee is, I'm asking for the amount of $108 with $500 so that the architects could present us with the biddable set so we could go up to bid for this gas line project at Aptos High School.
Any public comments?
We do not.
Any discussion from the board? Okay, can I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, I have a first. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 403.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 8.7, revised class description, administrative assistant 4. Report will be presented by Pam Shanks, our Director of Classified Personnel.
Good evening, President Holm, board members, and Superintendent Scheckman. My name is Pam Shanks, Director of Classified Personnel. I oversee the merit system under the direction of our Personnel Commission. I'm bringing forward the following revised class description titled Administrative Assistant 4. I do want to give a brief overview of how new or revised classified class descriptions are established in the district. When administration wants to create or revise a class description, they submit the desired duties to the Director of Classified Personnel, at which point I prepare a class description or look to see if we have a current class description that matches the duties that are needed. The Personnel Commission has the responsibility under the Education Code to prepare class descriptions and determine the title, the minimum qualifications such as education and experience, and designate the salary placement on the appropriate salary schedule. The board has the duty to prescribe the duties and responsibility of all positions in the classified service. So there's a dual approval process for new or revised classified class descriptions in the district. The item brought before you tonight is a revised description of Administrative Assistant 4. When positions become vacant, it is a good time to review the duties and job title to determine if any changes are needed. There is a recent vacancy in our special education department, which allowed us time to review the job classification to determine if it was appropriate or if a different classification was more appropriate. The duties of the Administrative Assistant 4 is a current class description that resides in our adult education department, which most closely match the duties performed in both departments, which are large, complex departments that cover multiple locations. Some minor changes were made to the class description, which would cover the work needed in both departments. The salary placement will remain the same on range 48 of the classified salary schedule, and this change will allow us to recruit for the current vacancy that exists. The Personnel Commission did approve the revised description at their September 14th meeting, and I respectfully ask the board this evening to approve the revised class description as presented.
Any public comments?
We do not.
Any discussion from the board? And I'll entertain a motion.
A question, is this position filled right now?
There's a current vacancy, Administrative Assistant 4. We do have somebody that holds the position in adult education.
Gotcha. I'll make a motion.
All right, I have a first. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 502.
Thank you.
And moving on to item 8.8, approve certificated management 2023-2024 salary schedule and job title, principal, RCHS, and VA. A report will be presented by Allison Niyazawa, our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
Yes, thank you again, President Holm, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Scheckman. So before you tonight, I have a salary schedule and then a job title change. We for this current school year, we moved the Virtual Academy secondary program under the Renaissance High principal duties. And so this recommendation is to move the principal of Renaissance's line in the placement on the salary schedule in alignment with like schools. Virtual Academy itself was on range 42. Similarly are the middle school principals as well. This change would now put Renaissance with the Virtual Academy more in alignment. So I respectfully request that you approve the salary schedule and the placement or title of the position.
Any public speakers to this item?
Yes, we have one. Nellie.
Good evening, board. I'm in agreement with a person being compensated for the amount of work that they're doing, and Renaissance High School is a continuation high school. Virtual Academy is an independent study virtual school, and so it makes sense to reconsider the amount of work that this principal who came on to this position. They're not the principal that said, "Hey, I'll do it." That was a person that left from last year, and so I get it. This principal is like, "Wait, I'm taking over this Renaissance," and there's also this other virtual school. What I want to speak to is, we have these conversations where you get to reevaluate and then correct. This person deserves more pay. We have a school counselor who, our counselors, we all receive an assignment letter in May that lets us know what our positions are. And the school counselor at Renaissance High School, again, Renaissance High School is a continuation high school. She is also the counselor for New School, which is another alternative. It's a community alternative school. And this person who was on leave and came this year and was then suddenly told, "You're taking on Virtual Academy as well." And it's the alternative portion for the high school for that is that it's virtual. So one, they weren't given prior notice, but they're being expected to just take it. Accept that you're going to take this extra work, but you're not going to get a pay increase. And you're not going to get, hey, you should have gotten a notice back in May of what your assignment was. And so that's what I'm here to speak about. While it's great that we acknowledge that people deserve the pay according to the work they're going to do, we also have people who are impacted with, well, you just get to accept that you're going to have more work. And the Virtual Academy is middle school and high school. Thank you.
Any discussion from the board?
Go ahead. It's okay.
I had actually acknowledged you,
Oh,
but
okay, so yeah, he just looks so eager. Thank you, President Holmes. Sorry, I'm just feeling so deferential. So the question. So this is a raise for this position. This is for the position at Renaissance that we're adjusting?
Correct.
Overall, and my understanding is because the person there now took some kind of pay cut to take the job there. Is that right, or is that why?
No, it's to put it in alignment. All the other positions that serve this site, based on its size, are in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
Our administrators often are the last ones that we realign,
Okay.
and so we're just correcting that.
Are there other corrections that need to be made at this? It's just this position.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll make a motion. Also, thank Nellie for her point about ensuring that when people take on work, they're compensated, and sometimes they're not. I have seen that in our schools with some of our teachers. So conversation will live, but make a motion to support this.
Trustee Dodge Jr.?
I know you explained, the whole 40 through 42, but for some reason this issue came up in my area, and so this is moving from a range of 40 to the new principal will be making 42 on a level of 42.
They'll be placed on the appropriate cell of 42. Yes.
Okay. I don't know why it came up, but I just wanted to ask that question. I'd like to second the motion, and hopefully we can work on Nellie's concern as well. Thank you.
Trustee Disick, did you? Okay, no. All right. That's fine. We have a first and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 502. All right. Item 8.9, Resolution 232407, Instructional Material Sufficiency. Report will be presented by Lisa Aguirre, our Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Education.
Good evening, President Dr. Holmes, Board of Trustees, and Interim Superintendent Mr. Scheckman. I'm here this evening to have you approve Resolution number 232407, Williams Sufficiency of Instructional Materials. At the previous board meeting on September 13th, there was a public hearing so that anyone could come forward in regards to instructional materials. And so this evening, I'm just asking for the approval of the resolution. Thank you.
Seeing no public speakers to this item, unless okay. Do we have any discussion from the board? Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, I have a first.
I'll second.
I have a second. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 403.
Thank you.
I know. So we'll wait, because I need to make a... Just going to pause until we have a quorum again.
I would just like to say Trustee Flores went to the bathroom.
All right, we have quorum again. All right, so point of order, we're about to go into a report and discussion item. It is approaching 10 o'clock, and so I want to make a motion to extend the meeting until 11:30, just to ensure that we have enough time to have the presentation, a discussion, and then move through our consent agenda items.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a first. Do I have a second? All right, sorry, I made the first. Great. We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 403. All right, so moving on to item 9.1, Pajaro Middle School update, students, families, and construction. And the report will be presented by Murray Scheckman, our interim superintendent. 30-minute report, 15-minute discussion.
I will kick it off, but we have a real wonderful team who will be representing the different school sites. Thank you. Which one? No, I got it. Can't see it all, but we'll figure it out. There we go. So, well, maybe not. There we are. That's what I want. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. This was this year. March 10th of this year. I actually had a student intern, a counseling intern. I was a teacher at San Jose State in the counseling ed program, and had an intern working at Pajaro Middle School with Jose Morelos. And she, along with all of the children and all the teachers, were transferred to Lakeview. The district did the best that it could in a very difficult time. In my 1 or 2 times that I got to visit Lakeview and meet with my student, Judy Woods came out of a classroom and let me know that was my 90th time in a classroom. But those days are gone, and what's happened and the good planning that the district did for this year, we're going to learn about. There's still certainly challenges and issues, but we have the kids and the teachers together at one school with one principal. And she'll start us off. I promise I'll be quiet. So tonight's report is about the progress of our students, their families, and their buildings. And we're going to start with our principal, Chris Kunis. I can never pronounce it. From Lakeview. You know what to do. Thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you, President Holm. Thank you, Superintendent Interim, Mr. Scheckman. Thank you, Board of Trustees, for this evening. A little bit taller. I'd also like to just take a moment to thank our Pajaro teachers that have joined us this evening. Thank you very much, Carmona. Thank you, Ms. Garnerman. Thank you also, our social emotional counselor, Ms. Kay, Ms. Mata, Mr. Figueroa, also Mr. Hall. And is there anybody who was behind me that I might not have seen? Okay. I'd also like to thank our administration. So my fellow assistant principals are here. And I'd like to acknowledge Ms. Hilton, the assistant principal of Pajaro, and also Ms. Woods, our assistant principal of Lakeview. Without the folks on our campus, I'm not so sure that we could be as successful to provide a well-rounded opportunity for two school communities to work together. And I want to also share that there is still room for improvement. So I want to begin by sharing the work that was done over the summer. So prior to July and before teachers and support staff left for both school sites, our administration conducted some assessments to understand how we can better support our two communities. And one of, or actually both schools' feedback was to increase opportunities for parent engagement. And understanding that I was going to be the principal and actually have the honor to be the principal of both schools, I aimed to work with our administration to provide opportunities in the community where we're serving. So we went to Pajaro Park and had paletas ready for any family member or student who came along. And we were graciously met with Pajaro parents and also Ohlone parents and Hall District parents. So it was quite frankly wonderful. We also went to Mesa Park, which is also known as Sheriff Park, off of Green Valley, and met with some students there. We saw some of our students playing sports, and so the coaches were in support of them coming over and chatting with us. Some people were actually like, are these really free? Yes, these are really free. We're here just to introduce ourselves. And so we have some more opportunities to connect with our families. Last night we met with our ELAC and our school site council. We discussed improving opportunities to go out to perhaps Las Lomas and have meetings with our parents, perhaps ELAC and school site council, and in which case I'm hoping to rely on my colleagues here standing behind me. So we have Myra Hernandez, we also have Heidi Jacobson. Myra Hernandez will be representing Hall District, and Heidi Jacobson will be representing Ohlone. Oops. So speaking just on our 7th and 8th graders at Pajaro Middle School, our enrollment this year for Pajaro is 294 students, and we have 150 7th graders and 144 8th. We saw, I believe, at the start of the year, 2 students who left just due to limited transportation. And so the decline in enrollment really comes to the 6th graders being at the 2 elementary school sites. And that does impact some of the data that you're going to see presented here this evening. We have 14 teachers, and last year we had 3 teachers working out of one large space that didn't have walls to the ceiling, which is our classroom known as G5. I heard loud and clear that it was loud and very unclear in that space for the 3 classrooms. So we were able to assess the needs of the program, both programs, and move our teachers into appropriate locations. And so, let me back that up actually. I think there's it'll come further along. We'll see a picture of where some of our teachers ended up moving into. Just taking a look at attendance for the first month for Pajaro. We're looking at last year's ADA data for grades 7 and 8. And then this year's, and we can see that the average daily attendance has increased, and we're hoping to keep that higher. Again, though, room for improvement. We'd like to be above 95%. We have been using Sown to Grow to assess our students' wellness. And so what you're seeing here are the first 4 weeks of school. on the left-hand side for 2022, and that includes grade 6. Then you'll see a reflection count. That's the number of students who have participated in that week. The average emotion is 3.85 on that first row for 2022 in the week of August 15th to the 21st, just to help you read that. But if you go down to the bottom, you'll see the average is 3.82. That generally means that they're happy. Anything below a 3 would indicate that they're unhappy. So we do have students that were indicating that last year, and then if you look at the 23 average emotion, you can see it's declined a little bit. So this is the work that we have to do, is to help increase their happiness emotion is what I should say, or it's like an emoticon because they click little happy faces. To further understand what our students needed, we gave a student perception survey. There were a total of 314 responses because we included Lakeview and Pajaro middle schools in that. And so the data that you're going to see from here on out are just strictly our Panthers responses. So that accounted for 34.7% of all the responses. So just to kind of help, the question here that we asked students is, what are you liking most about your classes? And so our Pajaro Panthers were saying something about my classes is that my teachers teach good or teach me good. Then we have what I like about my classes is that I got my friends in my classes. So something you should know is that we do have 2 master schedules, 2 school budgets, and our students are in Pajaro teachers' classrooms. Improvements. We want to know how we can improve. So what improvements might you like to see in your classes? I appreciated this goal-centered response from a student. They'd like to see me reclassify ELD. And then more comfortable seats. And so this is one of the classrooms that we did move one of our teachers out of the larger room into. This is Ms. Mata's room. And the stools are not very comfortable for students. And I want to thank our maintenance and operations department and also our assistant superintendent, Lisa Aguirre, for helping assist with getting additional seats. So we were able to purchase some more stools for our classes. Oop, I went too fast. I also want to thank food and nutrition. So food and nutrition, students said that what they like most about the cafeteria is that they get food that is fresh. And on Fridays, we do have cafeteria staff that come out and serve fresh food, and they really like the pizza. Some improvements is our lunch line. The line is longer because we're serving more kids. Our administration is working on improving that with the aid of feedback from staff, so looking at staggered release times on rotation so that students can get access to food. Do they feel safe on campus? 87% of Pajaro students said yes at the time of the survey. Do they feel connected on this campus? 74% of students at the time of the survey reported that they feel connected. We did just share some data with our instructional leadership team today, though, that indicates that we could continue to improve upon that. We have seen a dip in belonging, and that's through Sown to Grow data. What do they like most about the campus? It's big. They get to meet new people. It's big, and the teachers are helpful in making us, our students, I should say, feel welcomed. And what they like most are some of the activities. So we've also had some whole school assemblies where we're integrating Lakeview and Pajaro and different grade levels. And they also like to walk around with their friends. In terms of how they would like to see improvement, I didn't think this was a bad one, but they said too much security. What I do think we need to do is help support security, and I'm one of those too, in terms of those many administrator hats. And but to perhaps make them feel a little bit more comfortable about my role in keeping them safe on campus. Oh, my apologies.
No.
And so without further ado, I'd like to pass this over to Ms. Mayra Fernandez.
Hey, good evening, President Holmes, Board of Trustees, and Mr. Scheckman. At Hall, we currently have 533 students enrolled, with 60 of them being our 6th graders. We have 2 amazing educators, Teacher Benjamin Waite and Mr. Timothy Powers. They are a great team, and couldn't be more lucky to have them both at our site. Currently, Benjamin Waite was one of our staff members, and then he decided to go on to Pajaro and teach middle school. In getting ready for our sixth graders at Hall District, we moved 5 classrooms to prepare for our sixth graders. We wanted to place them on the same wing due to their schedules and moving from one class to another, and just wanted to make sure that they were close to each other. And we also worked with M&O and Pajaro and Lakeview admin to ensure that students had appropriate classroom furniture. We worked with admin from all 3 sites and the DO to ensure delivery of curriculum as well. And then I'd like to touch on some highlights. To begin with, I think it's been great to have our students at Hall, given that we know our students, we know some of the gaps that our students are facing, some of the challenges they're facing. So having that continuum and housing them at our site has been, I think, a plus for some of our students, given that we know some of the challenges they're facing already, and teachers are collaborating with each other for those students that need additional supports. Also, students are adjusting to rotating classes and schedules. That's one highlight. Students are beginning to identify as Panthers, and as stated by our 2 teachers, are the great responsive support from all admin and at all sites. And then our students are enjoying our new math curriculum, iReady, and also the use of restorative practices across campus, and also from our, again, 2 great teachers with our students. And then also students have been enjoying the use of sketchnoting across the classes as well. And, some of the challenges we faced, not being able to provide extracurricular opportunities like sports has been one of the things our students are missing out on. Our field and track, obviously at our Hall, need repairs. Our Gophers are eating our track and field. So students are having a hard time playing out there on the field, their sports, and during PE as well. Students using social media has been a challenge as well. As the students grow older, obviously they're more exposed to social media. So some of those interactions they're having at home with other students through social media are trickling down to the classroom. And so we've been having to manage a lot of behavior around that kind of thing. I don't think in the past I've dealt so much with social media as I have this year with our 6th graders, to put it that way, right? And so, again, our 2 great teachers have been using restorative practices. They've been very proactive, teaching lessons about cyberbullying, internet use, and social media use. So they've been super proactive in that sense. And then once again, so here you also see our results for Sown to Grow. And you can see again, like Ms. Chris Kunis just mentioned, sense of belonging is the one that you see the lowest here across the board. And like I said, as a team, we are definitely trying to have more activities so they can have a sense of belonging, feel more included. We've included on our Fridays, Hawk Weekly News, we call it. I do a little drawing at the end of the week, and teachers are giving their 6th graders their Panther paws for doing great things and being resourceful, responsible, and respectful. In campus, we call it the 3 R's, so they get little Panther paws for doing great in class. Another way we've talked about with our teachers is also bringing in more activities where our students, our 6th graders, can lead those activities and feel part of. And I believe that concludes my presentation. And now it's Ms. Heidi Jacobson.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I have to admit, I'm usually asleep at this hour, so bear with me on that. I am the academic coordinator at Ohlone. I am here speaking to you right now in place of Gina Elizalde. She's the principal. She's not here right now. She's out on a medical leave, and hoping she's back soon. Here's a picture of some of our students. At Ohlone Elementary, our enrollment right now is 459 students. We have 67 6th graders who would have been at Pajaro Middle School this year if not for the flood. Our 2 teachers that are former Pajaro teachers are Christy Martin and Joshua Bowman. They both have Thank you. They both have really fit in with the team, and they're very happy about our school. They're all the time telling me, we're so impressed with this and that, and the positivity and the students' willingness to participate. So that's great. Down here in the green box, you see that there's a number there that 225 of our students, and back then our enrollment was just under 400, were displaced by the floods in March. And so that means that they were living in the shelter, they were living in hotels, they were living in cars, some of them worse situations than that. Now, we still have students who are displaced. We still have students who are living in hotels, and oftentimes it's many, many family members in one room. And that's still hard on the students. But we're glad that so many more of them are housed. I like to include this picture down here at the bottom because this is a picture of a student who at the time was a kindergartner riding his bike in the floodwaters. And it was part of national news. I asked him, what was that like? I showed him the picture. He didn't even know that it was, anywhere. What was that like? And he said, I said, was it scary? And he goes, oh no, it was lots of fun. And so I'm glad that he had a positive outlook about it, and I'm glad that he's safe and healthy now. So that terrified me when I saw it initially. Okay, so Ohlone moved 2 classrooms to make room for 6th graders. We also worked with M&O. A lot of this is similar to what you heard about Hall District. To get appropriate furniture, that was important. We have, a lot of small chairs at Ohlone, and we needed bigger chairs, and we were able to get a lot of those, and that was great. Mr. Raoul, who I know most of you probably know, he's my celebrity custodian, and he was instrumental in making that happen. We also got the appropriate curriculum, and then I'm learning with that. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Terry Redfern because he's been helping with that quite a bit, and so thank you. All of our schedules had to get refigured. One of the things that you don't think about right away is, wait a minute, we have this whole new group of students that need to eat lunch. Where are they going to eat? How do we fit them in? Right now, with the weather being nice, they're able to eat on the patio. I have them out there eating they're at lunch at the same time as kindergarten and 1st grade, which seems to work out because they don't want to do the same things as those kids. And sometimes they're able to be leaders, so that's been nice. Some of the sweet spots are that students already know each other, they feel safe here at Ohlone, or they're at Ohlone, and the staff know the students and can continue to support them. One highlight I want to talk about here is that we had a celebration of reading, students meeting their AR goals, and at that celebration we were playing music and trying to get the kids to kind of dance and relax, and we're eating Otter Pops. Nobody wanted to dance, and one of our 6th graders got up and went over and took the hand of his former 5th grade teacher and danced all around the cafeteria with her. And other students were like, oh, they couldn't believe it. But he kept up with it until the music ended. And it was just beautiful. And, like I said to her later, wow, what a testament to what a special relationship you have with him, and what a great memory for everybody. Some of the challenges, like Myra talked about, no sports or the other typical extracurricular activities. Students are not meeting as many new friends as they might have been, and some places are a little bit crowded. We have 67 of 6th graders, and so in 2 rooms, that's a lot of bodies. Here's our most recent Sown to Grow survey information, where you see that our highest score is social awareness, and we're kind of bobbling around the other ones pretty close to each other. I don't have a graph of this right now, which I apologize for, but typically our school, when we're looking at the happiness meter, our happiness level is really high. And so Ms. Elizalde kind of coined us as Ohlone Land, which is kind of like a play on Disneyland, like don't tell Disney. But so we call ourselves the happiest place in PVUSD, and I really feel like that. I feel really happy when I'm there and I see so many smiles, and that's really great. And I think that that's what you would see if you ever came to visit. And of course, you're welcome to. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. The other way, yeah.
Okay. Here we are. Good evening again. Things are happening at Pajaro Middle School. The initial cleanup was completed in June 2023. Cost of that initial cleanup was $3.4 million. covered by FEMA. General fund will cover 160,000 of the cleanup. Estimated that 90% will be covered by FEMA. For the second phase for the restoration, cost will be $7 to $10 million. Reconstruction timeline, we're shooting for getting the schools back to school next 2024. Here are some of the pictures of the water, the height of the water that we observed during the floods. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Hey, how you guys doing? So phase one, right? That was pretty much the cleanup, the damage assessments. I think we were the first ones to go to Pajaro Middle and try to do an assessment, right? Visual assessment, and that's when we had to hire Surf Pro, and I think they did a great job with the cleanup, and pretty much with the cleanup and the restoration. Our teams have been working pretty hard, right, in the construction phase to pretty much try to get all our infrastructure and everything to pretty much get it to the next level, which is phase two.
This is phase two. This is what we were left with after Serper went in there and gutted the place out. They removed sheetrock, mud, all the debris that was in the classrooms, and this is what we're looking at right now. Phase two. This is what we're gonna be reconstruction back.
So before starting phase two, right, we're waiting for DSA, pretty much working with an architect, SFA, to pretty much start doing our blueprints and get everything so we could start sending everything to DSA. While we wait on DSA, we are creating a scope for the exterior painting for Pajaro Middle, as you can see here, right? We don't want to lose any time. We want to make sure we're running, and we're trying to pretty much go ahead and speed the process. So this is what's going to get painted, and including the other 3 portables that are in the backside. So this one it's pretty much a construction phase. It's estimate timeline, right? Construction front ends, we're looking in October to get them all done. Submittal for DSA would be on November. DSA review, right? That's where November, December, and then on DSA back check, that will be in January. That's what we're shooting for, right? Right now we're pretty much in schedule, and then once we get a revised set of plans, that's when we're gonna start and pretty much getting a bid. After that, I think starting of construction, we're shooting for February and March, right? The beginning of March. And then construction phase, we're looking at 16 weeks construction. So this is going to be our shooting to pretty much get it complete and get our kids back to Pajaro Middle 24-25.
And that's our presentation.
Could you go to the next slide? Thank you.
Any questions?
Great. Do we have any public speakers to this item?
We do. We have one. Emily Carmona.
Hello, good evening. My name is Emily Carmona. I'm an 8th grade social studies teacher and in 7th and 8th leadership / activities director for Pajaro Middle School. A lot of what I'm going to say has already been said. However, I'm going to speak from the perspective of students and families. So as part of the leadership teacher, students have been really active in becoming agents in giving their voice. All of this was their idea. They voted on it. We passed motions on it. They came up with the questions. I gave them the keyboard. They translated it into Spanish. All of this work was done by students, for students, and their families. Their objective and our objective was to get student input and get parent input. They practiced their interviewing skills, and they practiced getting some information and opinions from their families. Again, a lot of it was already said, but there has been questions asked were how overall their feeling has been since the change. Students are experiencing a lot of trauma. They are experiencing the long-term effects of floods. As people have mentioned, there are students who are still houseless, students staying with multiple families, students staying in aunts' houses, uncles' houses, students who are still displaced. On top of that, they are displaced from their communities, their community school. Lakeview is significantly farther than Pajaro was. Students are no longer able to walk at their school, to school. They are taking buses. A lot of parents have also communicated that they do not have after-school program to rely on anymore because of the lack of transportation that is given for after-school buses. Very constantly, there is announcements saying that there is no after-school buses for the Pajaro and for church. For the church pickup, that's where they get picked up. Students are also feeling very overwhelmed, and it is overall a very big change, and they overall are communicating that they want to return to campus as soon as possible, and they are constantly asking for information. And thank you so much.
Any question or discussion from the board? Trustee Flores?
I want to thank you for this presentation. I think it's really important that we keep letting our Pajaro community know that we are still making, moving forward, and we have a plan to get them back into their school at the beginning of the year. So I just want to thank you, and I love these updates, and I hope we can continue them.
Trustee Scow?
I have a question about our interaction. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you for all the speakers in the Pajaro community that came out. My question is around the county has recently got some money from the state. I think it's about $25 million, and they've initiated a process, more of a long-term recovery process. Are we part of that? Does it make sense? Are we already getting what we need in terms of money and finances? I'm just curious.
Frank, would you do the honors?
Yeah, so the county does have funding. The problem is any of the funding they gave us would just basically offset FEMA. So FEMA would give us less because FEMA would effectively say, we cover up to 90% of the cost, regardless of how you get those dollars. So for example, with the cleanup, we spent a lot of our insurance reimbursement on that cleanup. FEMA won't reimburse any of the insurance piece. They'll reimburse anything we didn't have. So we could go after those dollars. The problem would be it would be effectively taking those dollars from other community members, and it wouldn't really give us any additional dollars. It would just offset our FEMA reimbursement. We're pretty confident we'll get the FEMA reimbursement as well as the Cal OES reimbursement, which makes up about the 90%. So we haven't pursued the additional dollars.
And do we feel that that's adequate? I mean, I know there's some consideration around litigation responsibility as to why this happened and what the county didn't take care of it for decades and decades and decades. There's concern it might happen again. And obviously our families are affected. Many of them live in that area, and I didn't realize it's complicated. There's separate processes. The money is slow to come. I guess maybe it's a longer conversation, but are we getting everything our kids need, and could we be getting more?
Yeah, so FEMA reimburses us for anything that was lost or any expenditures we have to incur due to the flood. So in terms of getting students what they need, that's kind of, as Chris Kunis had mentioned, that getting the extra chairs, things like that, all of those types of things. Colleen Booghian, who used to be our director of fiscal, is tracking all of that, and she's actually submitting and working with Herlindo and Sergio to submit all of that to FEMA. So absolutely, I mean, I think we've let Katie know, and as well as the other principals at Ohlone and Hyde, if you need things, please reach out, because we do have, Hall, not Hyde. We do have the opportunity to be able to claim a lot of this as reimbursements through FEMA. Again, it's 90%, but again, it's a good amount when we're talking about especially small dollar amounts like additional supplies, things like that.
And I'm curious about the status of the levee repairs, because last I had heard there was the temporary fix, they were working on the permanent fix, and I'm just, how secure are our repairs if the levee's not done?
So right now they are currently working on the repairs. What they got
So they have 20 million, right? They're working on 3 repairs. So they already started. The same company is going to do 2 of the levee breaks that happened, the biggest one, and then another area, and then the third one should be the sewer line that they're working on. They have the 20 million, and then from there, I think they should be done. Their estimate done on day should be November, the end of November, right? So that's pretty much with Monterey County, and that's the only update that we have till now. So I think they want to pretty much try to fix what was damaged, and then from there they're gonna start working on a plan to pretty much do the whole levee. So and then they have 149,000.
The whole levy cost is going to be $600 million. So that's what they're estimating the project at. So right now they're just doing the initial repairs. So hopefully we don't get flooded again. And then this project, I think it was estimated to be a 10-year project. So they're hoping to get it done in 5, but they're estimating a 10-year.
Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, just for the record, so I saw that there's like the painting will be by end of January. Is that what I saw? And then when will kids be back on campus?
We're hoping to have the kids back by the next school year, August.
The next school year.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to make you repeat this.
That's fine.
What is still left to do in the next few
Right now we're working with the architects to submit to DSA for phase 2, which is going back to reconstruct the classrooms, the sheetrock that was taken out, whatever we have to do to bring back restrooms, ADA, so they could be ADA compliant. So
are we changing the footprint? Are we making
No.
the classrooms better or more fantastic?
Right. So I think that our bigger picture is our kids, right? And the bigger picture is we want to open up 24-25. So if we want to open up 24-25, then without going with regular blueprints, right, as we have now, and just reconstruct with just going with existing, we are able to open up 24-25. And that's pretty much as well what FEMA's going to cover, right? So the bigger picture here is FEMA trying to pretty much covering for the full project.
Yeah. But
So-
I'm thinking even like technology has changed. Are we going to be doing like updated plumbing and wiring and all of that? All of those things will be improved?
So electrical, plumbing, everything's going up to date.
Up to code.
And
Okay,
up to
great.
code, right? And then we have to go up to code, and then at the same time, everything that has to be up as ADA compliance, we have to comply as well with DSA. That's why the project is taking a little longer.
Yeah.
Because we have to go through DSA.
Okay, that's great. And the field, can you talk about the field for a minute? Sorry, normally I don't take questions from the audience, but I'm actually interested because that's such an important part of
Yeah.
middle school is
Yeah,
being
and I
able
think
to run around and
that's one of
play.
the biggest parts. But I think for now, one of the biggest parts that we have is the classrooms, right? We want to get our kids back to class. And I think our priority right now is the buildings.
So have we included any of the fields or outdoor spaces in the 90 million or in the estimate? I'm sorry, there's probably a bigger estimate than that in the estimates? Or is that only the building, Orlando?
No, that's just the buildings.
Yeah.
we did bring it up to FEMA, see what they would cover with that. So right now we're trying to see if we get an answer from them, see if they cover any of that.
Tell them it's very important to your board.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so all of that, it's coming, and we are pretty much looking at the full phase, right? But it's just our priority right now, it's our classrooms, and trying to get our students back to Pajaro Middle.
So, yeah, go ahead.
When I met with you at M&O, I think I asked a similar question. Correct me if I'm wrong, but one explanation that you also gave me was that if we were to make changes, then FEMA won't cover it. So that, because I did ask the same thing, like, let's make improvements while we're doing it, but,
That's
yeah.
correct.
So,
Yeah, because that's the thing. If we don't stick to the same blueprints that we have already, and we make changes, then that's when FEMA, and that's pretty much coming out of the district. So
And is there anything, for you all, is there anything you need from the board to help, do a resolution for?
Tonight was really, the intent was to give you an update. Questions are coming from the community, and the principal question is, will kids be coming back in August of 2024? And we're pretty optimistic.
we're on the right track.
That they will. There's very strong awareness of the issues around the school, especially that field. But the commitment, and I'll back up. When I first started, that was one of the first things I wanted to look into. Pajaro Middle School means a lot. My family all went through there. It's a very, very special place. It's the heart of that community. And there were some concerns about electrical panels and things like that, but it's moving. And I'm really have faith in these folks, and I have faith in the leaders who spoke earlier. I think our kids will be there. They will be Panthers. We probably will still need some additional funds from somewhere to be able to address that field.
Yeah, and we want to say a big thank you to Clint, right? He's been a big part of this project and getting the right people, Rich, Mariano as well, right? Everybody behind us, all the team. We're pretty connected district, so pretty much we couldn't done it without the people that are behind us.
It's been a
so
great,
thank you, appreciate it, and with the board.
It's been a great teamwork, including tonight. Clint's going to have a little free time, and so he's promised that he's going to go out and raise some money for the field. And we have a vision of the sign, Rucker Field. It has a nice ring. And thank you for the employees for showing up.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our consent agenda. These are routine items brought before the board. Do we have any public speakers to consent agenda?
we do not.
Are there any items that the board wishes to defer? Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve our consent agenda tonight.
I have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0-2. And going on to item 13, our action report on closed session. Are there any items to report? You do. So yeah, you can read off this. And then we'll make the motions and then
In closed session, item 2.1, expulsion referral. Under closed session agenda item 2.1, the board voted 4-0-3 to approve the recommendation of district administration for a full expulsion for 1 year for student number 23-24-001. Under closed session item 2.2, expulsion referral. Under closed session agenda item 2.1, the board voted 4-0-3 to approve the recommendation for district administration for a full expulsion for one student for 1 year for student number 23-24-002. Closed session item 2.3. I move to approve the certificated personnel report as presented by district administration on September 27th, 2023 with 15 and 7 additional action items.
Do we have a second? Okay, I have first and second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0-2.
Closed session item 2.4, I move to approve the classified personnel report as presented by district administration on September 27th, 2023 with 7 and 11 additional action items.
Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0-2.
I have announcement. Number 1, we have the Director of Transportation, Mark Virch. On behalf of our Superintendent and District Administration, we are pleased to announce Mr. Mark Virch's promotion to Director of Transportation. Mr. Virch has worked for the PVUSD for over 35 years in our transportation department, where he has started as a school bus driver and delegated behind the wheel trainer, state certified instructor, and most recently has served as our supervisor of transportation. Mr. Virch is a current member of the California Association of School Transportation Officials and has worked at the state and local rodeo for over 10 years, where he has received both individual and team trophies. He has also served in leadership roles for the state and local rodeo. Mr. Virch is a graduate of Aptos High School and looks forward to serving the district in his new role. We are proud to announce Mr. Virch as our new Director of Transportation.
All right. So our next meeting is a regular board meeting, and that'll be on October 11th. And this meeting is adjourned at 10:37 p.m.